Or you did ANOC there, you said?
Yeah, I was a 51 hotel. It was construction.
Okay.
Engineer. I was a 3043 in the Marine Corps.
Okay.
Which was supply admin.
I was an 88 Mike. And 88 then,
Mike?
Yeah.
The truck driver?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then when I was a civilian, I was security forces, and that's where I did all my SWAT schools at.
Speaking of Marines, did they give that kid over to Kim Jong-un?
I don't know.
Anyways, let's kick this off. Welcome to the show, everyone. Hopefully we sound good. Tonight we got Gregg Dunn on. And now, Greg, you were kind of the head of the Democrat Party here in Tooele for a while, weren't you?
I was the first vice chair.
All right, pull your mic in nice and close and aim it right at your chin.
How's
Check
that?
1 2
3 4.
And so you were the first vice chair.
Yeah, Mike Keel was the chairman.
Okay, all right. And how long have you been a Democrat?
God, probably from 20. You know, I became a Democrat during the Clinton impeachment, and when they were going after Jan Graham out here, Attorney General.
Okay.
I mean, that's really when I decided, I'm going to get involved, because I didn't like the impeachment of Bill Clinton and how petty I thought it was. And then seeing Jan Graham when she was fighting for the tobacco money, and how the other party came in and just grabbed it from her and gave her no respect.
Okay, get that mic nice and close so everyone can hear you. All right.
Yeah, talk to the mic, not Jared.
Well,
all right.
That was yeah. Now I do remember the Clinton impeachment. Of course, I think I was in the service when that happened.
Same here.
And
was it petty to you, Jared?
Well, they went after him for lying to the people.
Okay.
And I don't know. Was it petty? Is any impeachment not petty?
It does seem like we're getting to the point where we're just trying to drag petty stuff out. I would have to agree.
I feel like it's a way for those in power to try to maintain that power. When someone that they feel is on the outside for whatever reason, they try to drag out the impeachment when they have the numbers or close to the numbers to try to stock up and maintain power. And I don't think party matters. I don't think ideas matter. I think it's just to maintain power.
See, but it is a valuable tool for a check and balance. I mean, an impeachment has to be there.
I don't think it needs to go away. I think when we use it, it's not about the tool, it's about the use of the tool that I question.
It would be awesome if the people had a vote to say, you know what, that was so petty, and that's a strike against the representative that brought it up. That would be a check and balance.
I don't know. That's just my feeling. Now, I'm not a fan of Trump, as I've mentioned before, but I do think the impeachment of Trump was just a petty maneuver. They went after him on the very same things that they were practicing at the time they went after him for. And I was like, oh, all right. Granted, when they went after Clinton, I'll bet every one of those senators had a little side piece at home. Well, maybe not at home, at the office. And I agree with that. Now, granted, the impeachment of Nixon may have been a different animal, or the impeachment of Johnston, maybe a different animal. But those were a while ago, a hot minute ago.
Yeah, it definitely seems a little bit more.
But yeah,
funny.
anyways, yeah, so we could go on about impeachment all night, and we're probably not going to find agreement depending on the target of that impeachment. And me, I'm saying I disagree with all of them. But anyways, so you became a Democrat, and that was kind of over the impeachment. What was your aims on that? You didn't like that the tobacco money was taken. Did you have aims on trying to, I don't know, change something?
I did. It's became from probably about 20 on. When I joined the Marine Corps way back when, and
What year did you
Reagan
join
gave
in?
me, get 1980. I joined right after the Iranian desert helicopter crash.
Okay.
I dropped out of school and said, I'm joining. So,
Back when you could drop out of school and join the military.
And they
well,
take
it
your
was
stuff.
college. It was
Oh, okay.
college. Plus a little
Okay.
student debt. I mean, but when the helicopter crashed during the Iranian crisis, it hit a nerve in me for some reason, and I went ahead and enlisted. I got the big raise from Reagan, so at that time I was probably a Republican. But after getting out and seeing, just the differences in the mindset of a Republican and a Democrat, a liberal and and a conservative, I gravitated to the Democrat Party.
Okay. So what's your ideas on the differences between Republican and Democrat?
Okay, first,
We'll just start with that. Not
Yeah.
liberal and conservative, Republican and Democrat, the voice of
Is-
the parties.
first, I'd like to get out that are common, because this is the problem we got, is we're focusing a lot on differences, and we're getting to the point where we can't talk because of differences. Common is, I love my country. I'm an American before I'm a Democrat. I'm an American before I'm a liberal.
What do you
I am an American, and I'm proud to be an American.
have you ever heard Noam Chomsky explain the argument that
I-
that the argument sits within a window?
Well,
The Republicans and Democrats will argue about a 2% difference in income tax.
and I agree. I mean, there's a lot more common than there is, but we have to admit there's a common.
You can go ahead and pull this mic
Yeah.
like this.
All right,
Look
no.
at us.
No, well, okay,
And
I'll
it's
look
fine.
at the
And-
screen.
And I'm fine with you looking at
No,
me.
well, because the reason I look at me and then
All right.
one out of
You get turned on.
I am. I mean, there's one real man here. But anyway, so but I do, and like when I commented on the poor boys when we were talking to them, and it was like, you're talking poor boys, you're talking conservative, you're talking patriots, and every time a Democrat was it was talking liberal, Antifa, radical, and it's not right. I'm a liberal.
So you're not a fan of Antifa,
I'm not a fan of Antifa. I'm not a fan of poor boys.
Proud Boys.
Proud boys, poor boys, yeah.
Okay. Now, Proud Boys are proud to be American and they don't want to lose what they perceive as
Well,
American. Antifa are communists
Well,
and they want to directly change America.
And how much Antifa is there really? Is it just a word, or is it really a group?
Oh, it's really a group. Ask Andy Knoll from 3 days ago.
Okay, well,
They can take a city in Europe on surprise.
Okay.
I've seen them take Hamburg on plenty of videos.
Well, shit, look at Portland. They've owned
Yeah, they
Portland.
took Portland.
well,
Why
is it-
does your party fold for that?
let's go on to Portland. Now, as a conservative Republican, you believe in local rule, right?
I'm not a conservative nor a Republican. You
Okay,
told
well,
me that a few times.
Well,
I'm free-minded.
impression.
I'm a voluntarist.
You can call me a conservative.
Okay, well,
I
okay,
can take it.
but okay, so they take Portland, and anarchist, local rule.
Okay.
Shouldn't the people of Portland, shouldn't the mayor elected Portland handle Portland? Who are we to come
They should
outside?
have.
Who are we to come outside and Proud Boys infiltrate to help the locals? I mean, the
Wasn't
locals.
some of the locals there
If
proud?
if the locals, if the
that- not
locals
all
were
of it-
happy with what was happening, if they were okay with the protest, shouldn't they have been allowed to protest?
Well, don't you think when they're committing arson and violent attacks that
That
goes a
was it
little
arson?
beyond-
Yeah.
actually
Well,
there's
tough cocktail
video?
Okay,
thing.
no, okay.
There's
what-
videos of them.
there's
trying to
videos
start-
of people being peaceful,
Sure.
and that being shot with bean bags, of being, there was kind of when Trump sent in the federal troops
Do you know what he sent him in for?
against the local
No.
elected mayor.
I've got to correct you. All right.
Well,
And I'm not a fan. No,
No,
They-
let's say not correct. Let's say opinion, because
no, this is facts.
okay.
They targeted the people who tried to start the courthouse, the federal courthouse in Portland on fire. They were actually trying to, with people inside, and the federal police went in and targeted those exact, I think it was 11 people. They arrested no more and no less. And the federal police didn't go around and round up. They targeted those specific people and actually arrested them and moved them into the federal courts. 3 of them had been arrested multiple times prior, and the Portland DA kept releasing them. Once they tried to take human life by starting a building on fire, the federal police were cut loose.
How many federal police were sent up there?
Actually, you know what it was? I think it was like 5.
There was only 5?
It was the state police that backed him up and did all the arrests.
And the Proud Boys? That's the way I took it, was they were there to...
They'll help.
No,
if
you've
you
got
ask,
that.
I guess.
You've got that. No,
Well,
the federal police that did the arrests and the state police, they went up there. It wasn't with the Proud Boys. And there's video of them. They pull up in a white van, grab the exact person they wanted, and drive off. These are the police.
4 or 5 people were arrested.
11.
11 in Portland.
For trying to start
Okay.
the courthouse on fire. And now
and they should be arrested.
the left-wing media made a big stink. They're invading. The feds are invading. No, they did a targeted arrest on people who tried to burn down federal property with federal officials.
And how many people were arrested January 6th?
But wait. I have to say, Greg, what you were talking about, the police just randomly shooting protesters with beanbags. They were doing that while they were singing the national anthem. They were shooting them with those rubber bullets and stuff. I have a friend there. He said he never saw police so antagonistic. The crowd would sing the national anthem, and random bullets would go flying into the crowd. And so I agree with you on that perspective.
So,
if people are peacefully protesting,
right,
whether you're January 6ers or Democrats or Black Lives Matters, the police should not randomly shoot you with rubber bullets.
agreed. And there's only so many times
Right there.
you can be shot. Hey,
Right there. We
hey,
found
we can do this every
an
time.
agreement.
But there's only so many times that you could be shot at before you have to react. So what I'm saying is, I believe the police could have antagonized a little bit more of that to cause, a little bit more violence. But the fact is, my thing is, the mayor is elected there. The mayor is the chief executive there.
Uh-huh.
And if we go on this, and he should be controlling the thing. I mean,
I agree.
So when you're
Trump
saying,
just said, "Hey, I'm here if you want me."
no, he said, I'm here and I'm sending you.
Trump said, "I'm here if you want me." The only time he sent them in was when they tried to commit arson on a federal building.
We'll just disagree.
I'm
I'm
stating
at
facts.
Well,
that was
you're
it. And then
you could
the federal police left. They got their people and then left. And the state police left with them. They went in specifically for those people who tried to commit arson. And then they left. They didn't hang around.
That's not true. I mean, you could say it's fact, Jared, but it's not. There was people that were shot. There were people that their head split that were peacefully protesting.
Yeah, by Antifa with
Oh my
bike
gosh, no. See, who can you point out in those videos? Antifa. You can point out a lot of the cops. You can point out everything. Now you're going to pull up 1 or 2.
Well, instead of trying to bring up evidence, let's just stick with the theory. All right, police should not brutally beat protesters.
What do we got here?
Unless the police are aggressed upon.
What's the source?
Okay.
Oh.
Shall we find it from somewhere else?
I mean, you're trying to prove a point, and yes, there'd be 1 or 2 points.
Hot air, campus unmasked.
I mean,
Independent Centennial, Rolling Stone.
2018. Now we're going way back. I mean,
Well, that's fine. That's just.
I mean, that Portland wasn't 2018.
Portland's been going on for a minute.
Isn't Portland still going on?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been going on.
So,
it kicked off even prior to Trump.
So tell me, what happened at the Capitol building, January 6th?
January 6th? Well, we actually talked to a guy who was there.
Well, there's 400 arrests.
We talked to John Sullivan that was there.
Well, I understand, but
he's one of those arrests.
Now, you want to pull that up? Let's pull that up and look at the videos of that. Let's pull that up and see cops squished in the door being hit with flags. All right?
I agree.
Let's pull up with a guy with the bull running in there. And tell me, should Black Lives Matter, should Antifa, should us liberals gone up and help the cops January 6th? If you're giving the Proud Boys the right to go to Portland, should we have been able to go up and help the cops on January 6th?
I don't know if Proud Boys went up there to help the cops. I think they went up there to help Patriot Prayer 3 years ago.
Again, though, I'm still of the belief that was a setup. It's January 6th. The cops were opening the doors for people.
Yeah, there's
No,
a lot of
wait. My friend
contradicting
said
stuff.
they were also turning the lights off as they were leaving different rooms when they were entering the Capitol building.
Am I
They
the
pushed
only one?
chairs
Am I
in
the only
as
one that
they
saw the
left.
flags being used as weapons?
And
Am I
that-
the only one that sees a dead cop? Am I the only one that
Actually,
sees
that cop, the coroner's report is out.
What does that say, Jared?
He died of natural causes.
Oh,
And I'm just saying.
I mean, and
Too many donuts?
No.
I mean, it's
he had a natural
let's
aneurysm.
see,
And that shows no sign of battery or chemical effects to be caused. It says it right on the coroner's report. I read it. today
when we
it
get
came
done,
out.
I'll look at the coroner's report
Pull it
and
up
see
right
it.
now if you want.
I mean, it's
But Greg, I want to say you are right. If the cops aggress upon you, you have the right to take them out, as far as I'm concerned. If you are not the initiator of the violence, you are the defender. And at that point, according to the non-aggression principle, you have the right to wipe them out. I mean, what can I say?
I mean, it is. It's a.
Now, I've seen pictures of like the student. You know that one picture where that cop is spraying the students that are just sitting there? You know that famous one? The students are sitting on the sidewalk, and the cop just is leisurely spraying them with the mace. You know that picture? Yeah. He was aggressing upon them, and that's a violation of the non-aggression principle. Usually initiates more aggression. That's the way it works.
I mean, when Trump had his photo shoot at the church, do you agree the way they cleared out those people just so he can have his picture with his Bible?
I don't know.
Well, that's been done by all the presidents the last 50 years.
They cleared the people out like that with flashbangs and tear gas and
if you've got a mob outside,
a mob, they were peacefully. See, this is
were they? I don't know. You know what? If they were peacefully protesting, then that's wrong. And I'm not a fan of Trump. I'm not.
Okay, but
I just don't like that. I don't like bullshit.
And I agree. Bullshit.
Well,
and
there's bullshit laid out right in front of you.
What do you mean? He died from a stroke? He died from natural causes? Are you serious?
It says right here, initial reports later ruled incorrect. Said Sick Nick had been hit by a fire extinguisher.
Let's say that was Black
and this
Lives
isn't
Matter
Fox News
attacking the Capitol. Let's say that was
$2 billion worth of damage last summer by Black Lives Matter. That's the estimate nationwide.
Okay. And why were they protesting?
$2 billion. Because a criminal got killed.
See, Jared, and this is it. I mean, you want to
no, honestly.
I mean, the guy was an American. The guy had a family. The guy had kids.
I
mean, and he has rights.
Talking that rationally about the lady that got shot at the Capitol.
What?
Yeah,
because you're like partisan.
Okay, so that's all right. I mean, how many ladies been shot at the Capitol?
One lady got shot.
How many blacks people have, or Hispanics,
last
or
year,
people
I
of
think
color?
It was last year.
That
you want armed?
I mean, what about the guy in Louisiana being drugged around like a piece of meat out of the car, and they hit it for 2 years? Is that right?
Wait. What? Say that one again.
The one that's been recently where he was dragged, he was tased, he was beat up, and they said his car hit a tree, but they found out now that he actually died from the hands of the police.
Okay, they should try them.
Yeah, that ain't right.
Okay.
End of discussion.
But you understand why people took to the street. You do understand why they took to the street.
One of the officers so far in the George Floyd deal? And aren't they set to try the others?
But see, you characterize George Floyd as a criminal.
Was he not?
American?
He was a guy who put a gun in the belly of a pregnant woman, and at that point, he's dead to me.
But at that point, so that's
a violation of the non-aggression principle. Same with the cops. If the cops aggress upon you and you kill them all, that's
so. Somebody makes a mistake. They do their time. They do their crime.
No,
that gives a right for somebody to kneel on him and to kill him.
Did I say that they were? I think they should go to trial. Do I think that the innocent city should be burned down? How much life has been lost because of Black Lives Matter? What about that 8-year-old girl in Georgia, Atlanta? She was shot because her mom, another black lady, was confused about these barricades that Black Lives Matter set up. Like, I don't know what's going on here. So she drives through. So they open up on the car and they shoot an 8-year-old girl. What about her? Does her life mean as much to you as Well, George,
listen, anybody's life means to me, criminal or not.
okay.
I believe, as an American, you have a right to be able to walk down that street. You should have a right to be able to go to the store.
Chauvin's been put on trial.
And why has he been put on trial? Why has this gone different?
So do you think that he wouldn't have been put on trial if it wasn't? And do you think then that it's okay through violence to hold cities captive so you get your political outcome? Or does that not fall under the definition out of the dictionary of political terrorism?
Pigs' heads on stairwells, right?
Or should, because I want political action done, should I start acting like that? Should I start setting people's houses on fire? Should I start blocking roads and stopping ambulances from getting to the hospitals?
A riot. Well, who is Martin Luther King? A riot is the voice of the people that are unheard. These people have gone unheard for so long. Now, I agree that when they were protesting, again, the other side kind of antagonized. I'm not partisan.
Bullshit.
What are you saying?
Because everything,
because I don't see things the way you do. Because you're going to tell me I'm partisan.
I'm going to point out the wrong on both sides.
Okay, what's wrong?
What's wrong with them holding?
What's wrong with you calling an American citizen a criminal because he was killed? Jared,
was he not a criminal?
Was he an American citizen?
Sure. No. Greg put it right on the head of the nail. He was killed. He was not murdered. He was killed. Look, the cop had to point his face away from him to prevent him from getting COVID. The cop had to restrain him for some reason. The guy wouldn't get in the car when he was in a car originally. All of a sudden, he's claustrophobic. This George Floyd character was acting very erratically.
Yeah.
Look, if I was there and I was the cop, I would just tase him unconsciously until he's unconscious, and that way my small little body doesn't have to get into some sort of a melee or something in case the guy acts up weird. He was on drugs. As soon as I saw the video, I felt uncomfortable for that poor cashier who was about my size, and George Floyd's a giant. I'm sorry, if I was that cashier and I'm like, hey man, you're going to rob me with that fake dollar bill, what am I supposed to do? I don't want to wait for the mayor. I don't want to wait for the police. I'd rather settle it right there with the citizenry.
Well, I don't think George Floyd was going to rob him.
He did.
I think it was a Confederate bill. 20. Yeah, it was a Confederate.
It was a fake bill.
Okay.
It was a fake bill. That's robbery.
So it's just like the guy that was choked in New York.
No, that's not. That guy, the guy that was choked in
he's
New York.
a big guy. I mean, guess big black guys have a right to be killed because they're intimidating.
See, now you're putting words on us. Yeah, you're trying to impugn us as president.
He was a capitalist.
Who was?
The guy selling. He was trying to make a living selling cigarettes.
And in a Democrat city with probably Democrat cops with Democrat control.
And was that Democrat cop arrested and tried?
Not at all.
No,
he was acting acting for the empire.
Worse than that. Those cops showed up to his protest wearing shirts that said "I can breathe" and imputing Eric Garner. And no, Eric Garner's murder was
murder.
Heinous.
That was murder. I agree with you there, Greg. I'm sorry, but if someone's trying to sell a hot dog on the side of the street and he gets choked out by the guy in uniform and the pretty badge, that's murder. I don't care if you're a law authority or not. However, we have a king and a lord, and thou must obey. And there we are. So the difference between Eric and George, Eric was a capitalist trying to make a buck. George was a drug-addicted counterfeiter.
I'm not that
George
far.
was an American trying to live.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Well, so is Blackbeard the pirate. But
Blackbeard's American trying to live. I mean that
he sure did try to live.
But yeah, you got a news for it. All right, but
sorry, got to get more beer.
All right,
and make sure you try the lemon before you go.
I will try the lemon.
But I totally agree. Eric Garner, that would have been someone to uphold. But they made a Christ idol out of George Floyd. And the hard part to swallow about it is the horrible things this man has done.
See how they.
And I can't stomach that.
And see how they characterize the guy to justify it.
So do you think that the damage done across the United States equals the judicial outcome they got?
I think things are changing. I think finally things are changing. I think video cams are going to be on every police officer, no matter what, which I think is good for both sides.
No, I agree.
I mean,
Oh,
that's
definitely.
coming because of this.
But see, I've had a stance for a long time, for many years, and this is coming from ex-law enforcement.
Yeah.
That one, we need to do away with civil confiscation. That needs to be done away with. I don't
agree.
think you can take anything away from someone without them being tried and convicted.
Yeah, but that takes
So-
a long time, Jared. What if you got like
I don't care. Asset forfeiture is
to a
is-
degree, I agree, but
No, asset
To a degree, I
forfeiture is
disagree.
bullshit. And Biden was the one who put that in. The 94 crime bill needs to be rewritten. Who
I
put
agree.
that in?
I mean,
Who put it in?
there's a lot of them put it in, but
Who?
but
Biden was the
If I go-
signatory that put it on the floor,
and during 94,
along with civil asset forfeiture.
and if you remember during 94, the guns, the shootings were rampant, and people were screaming for a crime bill.
I don't remember that in '94.
Oh my gosh!
I think the media made it rampant, like the media's made a couple
Oh.
other things rampant.
But
But in 94, the murders were worse than they are today.
they were
They were not as bad as they were in 93. And 93 wasn't as bad as they were in 92.
I agree. I mean,
The world's gotten safer every year. But,
Why, Jared? Why is that?
well, honestly, I think because humanity evolves a little bit every year. And another thing that seems to coincide with safety is when they lessen regulations on guns. It's shocking. You know what? 1980 was deadly. And in 1980, there were no states that had even may issue concealed carry permits. Not one. Except for Vermont, of course. Because Vermont has always been kind of a rebel state, weird state. Vermont's one of them crazy numbers.
they do an independent.
They're a crazy state that always has been the greenest on guns. Always.
Mountain Kingdom.
It's crazy, right?
I used to work for the Vermont Air National Guard. Bernie Sanders would come and have lunch with us.
Well, that's
It was pretty cool. Yeah, it's an interesting state. I liked it.
I like the IPA better. Just because I like a bitter beer, though.
I like the hops.
So
Yeah, I like the hops as well. But anyway, so it's gotten safer year after year. There's a couple of good studies on it. One by the FBI that's pretty good. I think there's a guy named John Law who wrote a book about it. And I know the name. Actually, he went into it trying to prove that legalizing guns, that legalizing guns and setting guns free was a travesty on the community. And when he ran the numbers, it actually made it safer. It's crazy. But 94, they looked at guns. They looked at a lot of things. Funny, they never looked at the CIA's movement of drugs into the communities. That was never looked at. It was admitted to by a couple of heads of the CIA, Kobe and what's the other guy's name? They admitted it, but it never got looked into that maybe using illicit and illegal chemicals to fund operations overseas might be a bad way for a nation to manage its processes.
No, I agree. I'm pretty well aware of the story.
But
the funding.
instead,
the
what they did is they
Sanity
wrote a crime bill that negatively affected the African American communities, that stripped fathers from the households, destroyed nuclear families in those communities, stripped the wealth, the generational wealth gaining abilities of those communities. That's what they did. That was their answer. Instead of saying, we're doing the government, again, back to my statement, the government's only good at one thing.
Here we go.
Turning gold into shit. That's all the government's good at. And instead, the government, when they knew what they were doing, still turned and wrote restrictive laws that punished those communities that were hardest hit by those actions even more.
Okay, there's no argument. I don't agree with the 1994 crime bill today. I mean, when it was written and
I don't
the
agree with it,
circumstances, maybe.
period.
But it's one dig on Biden.
And I don't care about Biden. First of all,
Well,
he's a suit in a placeholder that's controlled. It doesn't matter. First of all, we've given too much confidence and ability to our president. The president shouldn't be as important as he is.
or the Congress should be doing their job.
Oh, hands down.
I mean, if the Congress
And the
doing
Senate,
their job,
and we should take the popular vote for the Senate away. We should do away. What's that? 19th Amendment? No, the 19th is the 18th. I think we should take that away. That should be a state vote. You should have a people representative in the Congress, a state representative in the Senate, and a college representative in the president. And we should stick to that. It was a well-designed system, but we got to buy votes somehow. So we'll change shit.
There's no perfect system in government. I mean, human flaws are human flaws, and they're going to shine wherever you put them.
Correct. Yeah.
You can always see the light through the crack somewhere.
That's
There's
right.
always going to be a crack.
But the president, where he's become the popular vote, people buy into him. So you get a president who's got popularity, and he says, "Oh well, we can go wage new wars over here," instead of the Congress saying, "Well, fuck that. That's our job." The president moves them in. Hey, we're gonna go into Syria and we're gonna go in there and we're gonna uproot stuff, because it's not like our CIA didn't start the color revolution 8 years ago anyway. But we're gonna go in and uproot stuff, and then it took people, because Congress wouldn't stand up and do their job, because they didn't want to go against a popular president, because they didn't want to lose their seat. So it took people on Facebook and Twitter to stop him from a full-out invasion.
Well, let's talk about how we got here. Okay, now I always bring the story.
Should we go back to Grant? You want to go back to Grant?
No.
Should we go back to Lincoln?
I'm going to go back.
Or how about Wilson? Wilson's probably
to Gregg's youth. Let's go back to Gregg's youth in the 60s and 70s.
All right.
60s, I can remember country failing. They're going to, we're going to blow. We're going communist, whatever.
Uh-huh.
Okay. When my dad got the news, it was 5 or 6 o'clock, Walter Cronkite.
Vietnam.
Well, no, but no, there was one source of news. Everybody watched news at 6.
Mm-hmm.
You had 3 channels. My dad got up every morning, read the paper before work religiously. Got up, read the paper. So he got the news and he interpreted the news. Mid-80s, Rush Limbaugh comes along with talk radio, a strong talk radio. He starts polarizing people. Like you said, holding.
A little bit of that. I blame Rush Limbaugh for giving the progressive wing the nomenclature of liberal.
But no, genius. He was a genius the way he built.
Yes, he ruined
the conservative movement. I mean, he really did.
He took over the conservative movement.
He ruined the word liberal. Well, I mean, you could.
So now, fast forward from Rush, everybody starts saying, "Hey, there's money in this. There's money in talking to people's political view." Where in the 60s and 70s, we watched a half-hour news and we interpreted the news. I didn't watch CNN or Fox or have them interpret my news. They interpreted.
Yeah, they gave you
right.
This is what happened.
So now Ted Turner comes along with CNN and Murdoch with Fox.
What happened right after CNN was born?
Well, I'm just saying.
No, this is a crazy story.
Now people gravitize to what news they want to see.
This was one of the first stories on my other podcast. What happened right after CNN and Fox News was born? The Satanic Panic. Do you remember that? Remember when they were screaming Satanists are everywhere and they're practicing here? Those people in Austin went
early
to jail
90s
for 19 years over something that was fake. Yeah, I think it started in '89. But the Satanic Panic, I remember that. And lots of people went to jail for
there was a lot of kids. There was 5 kids with the murder where they were kind of framed over St.
Oh yeah, no, 3 kids,
because it was Dungeon and Dragons.
The Memphis 3.
Yeah,
Memphis 3. There were those guys, and yeah, it was wild, and that was because cable news had to fill 24 hours.
I mean, it is. I mean, so I turn on the news I mean, I watch Fox for a little bit just because I like to see what the other side is saying, and I try to interpret why they're saying it. But if I want to turn on the news, I turn on CNN. I turn on. My wife can probably watch Fox News for maybe.
How
2 or
was
3
CNN
minutes.
the other day when the Fauci emails came out? Did
Well,
you see what they said about it?
What did they
Fauci,
say?
our hero, look at what he's done. Imagine him up till 2 a.m. answering all these emails. They didn't talk about the emails that came out, the FOIA leaks, or the FOIA grantings, I should call them. They talked about how Fauci was up all night answering emails. How did he have time to send all these emails? That's where CNN went with it.
And I agree. I mean, we become this 24-hour news cycle, where a point has to be made.
It's not the first time we've done that, though.
Yeah, but now it's now where I'm not forced to interpret my news. I'm allowing somebody to interpret.
Well,
it for
remember
me.
the Maine.
Yeah, that caused a war.
Right.
We're back into a yellow journal. I have a theory that anytime a new technology comes abound, you have these kind of strife, almost mini civil wars. And I do believe we're heading towards a civil war, but you have mini civil wars. So around 1900, the printing press became so much easier. Well, I should say around 1880, they started mechanizing. The Industrial Revolution hit newspapers. No longer did you have to print them one page at a time. They started having roller presses. And so then you get yellow journalism. And then TV comes out, and that kind of comes out right after World War II. And I think the government stepped in just in time to correct that. But cable news didn't. So maybe the government did good. Maybe you can point at a government good.
Well,
Maybe them correcting it. Or would it have been better to have that battle fought in 1945 when we're on an economic high because no one else in the world could compete with us because they were all destroyed by the latest, most devastating war that's ever happened?
Do you remember when the plebs wanted a tribune and the proletariats wouldn't let them?
Well, it happened a few times. You're talking about the Grocki brothers.
Now, this very struggle we're talking about goes way, way, way back. And every time us plebs get a little bit more power, a little bit more authority over ourselves,
A little more freedom and independence. I mean, it's not like Operation Mockingbird isn't in full effect.
Okay.
Yeah, you know what that is?
Is that where they brainwash someone into doing whatever they want on some sort of a cue of some sort?
No, I don't think it's brainwashing at all. I think it's where the CIA has their hands in your newsrooms.
Yeah. Okay. So propaganda. The media is the mob. I'm sorry. No, the media is the tool to influence the mob, and the mob can turn on its government or king or dictator if it's not fed properly. I mean, we are, be us Democrat or conservative, we are the working class mob for this country. And there has to be some sort of a social engineering mechanism to use us to stay in power so that, there's always going to be an upper class, the monkey on top of the banana tree. There's always going to be one on top of the banana tree controlling the bananas. And he's going to have to feed a couple bananas down the tree to keep the other monkeys happy once in a while. But he'll always hoard the main stash, right?
The best bananas, the one that
the
gets the
best
most
one.
sun, the sweetest. So, Eric asked you a question, Greg. What is your stance on the First and Second Amendment limitations and why?
First Amendment, no limitations. Second Amendment, I'm for your rights. I'm for your right to bear arms. I mean,
Okay.
if you want to bear arms, bear arms. But I think we got to come to some type of point of you being responsible for those arms. I feel like if somebody came into school, shot up my child, and they stole the gun from you, you had the responsibility of saying, I own this weapon. You have the responsibility of keeping that weapon.
What if they murdered you to get it?
Okay, then Well, I can't. Well, then there's different scenarios. I mean, for everything. But if they come into your house, they steal your weapon because you decided you didn't have to take care of it. A responsibility has to be done. I mean, these shootings have got to stop.
Greg, what if the weapon is stole from me and the guy turns his back and I'm like, oh man, I can't shoot you in the back because it's a Democrat state and I'll go to jail.
There are a few states. In New Jersey, if someone breaks into your house, you have a duty to flee.
Seriously?
Yep.
Oh my heaven.
I mean,
Even if their intent is to kill you, to pursue you from the safety of your home into the street, you have a duty to flee.
And how do you, so these are the people that need body cams, or these politicians that make up these rules that destroy our lives.
What if we put them, the Truman Show? What if we put politicians in a set and we let them pretend they're in charge of shit, and then we just kind of live our lives out here without them? Think that might work? We have actors. We have some actor. We tell them, oh, this is Xi Jinping. You're going to have a conference with him. It's not Xi Jinping, but we pretend it is and march him in. What if we did something like that? Just got those shady bastards out of our lives.
Well, it is, but
what about Pelosi?
Well,
Pelosi using insider trading info to buy all that stock in Tesla just prior to Biden signing a bill saying that through this year we're going to maneuver all of our cars to electric cars.
I don't think insider trading is illegal for congressmen.
It's not. Funny about that, right?
This is a little different. I should have prepared myself for this taste after the hot.
Yeah, it's a lot different.
It's good.
That's a beer you drink when you mow the lawn. It's got a zest to it. It's got
kind of a liberal beer.
It's a Gatorade beer.
I'm feeling Democrat already.
I know, I could tell. But
see, I'm not with the Republicans. That's where you get me confused a lot. And I think that's just because I don't stand with you. Well, just like Dave and his wife might sometimes look at me and screw their eyes into cross-eyed.
Okay, so where are you from? I mean,
I'm a voluntarist. I want as little government interaction as possible. I think, in 1900, the average person never met a federal government official ever. And then, as the old saying goes, there's nothing as permanent as a temporary government action. Then they started an income tax to pay for a war. Oh, it'll go away as soon as the war's over. But it never went away because they got that teat. And then you get this infrastructure build that happened right after World War II. A lot of money, kind of slowed down the Great Depression or kind of stopped it. They throw this money into infrastructure, which is a good thing. I'm not going to lie. It's a good thing, but it's a perverse incentive because the government then, see, when regular people build something, they maintain it. Now, the government, the issue with that, now you want to go to a monarchy and argue that, maybe we could argue some differences, but in a swapping out democracy that swaps between every 2 to 4 to 6 years, then they build it, and then there's no guarantee of maintaining it. Whereas if the regular people built it, how it worked for them. I mean, our freeway system was built for war. It was built under the direction of Eisenhower, saying that every 3 miles there has to be a 1 mile stretch that's dead straight. I don't care if you have to cut it across the marsh. I don't care if you have to build it 10 feet in the air. I don't care if you have to, flatten God's green earth, because we need to have a place to land aircraft. Did you know that?
Well, I listen to you, Jared, and I hear, I mean, it's a talking point because, I look at you say the government, I look around us right now. I look at this. This is a success. This is a success you wouldn't have in another country. I look at my family, my kids.
Do you think maybe that's because of restricted government?
I think, I don't really see it restrictive.
We're the most restrictive on government of any nation.
Most restrictive?
Most restricted on government.
Our Constitution, I'm not following you there.
Our Constitution isn't written like others. Other constitutions are written as the government will let you. Our Constitution is written as the government may do this.
So what you're saying is the document states what the government can do.
What the government
Not what
can
the
do.
government
The
cannot
rights
do.
are yours as an individual, and the government can impede on X.
Well, the Constitution is a living document. I mean, it's made to evolve.
I'm not saying it's not. Ours is written different than every other. Other constitutions are written that the people can maybe touch on the area of this.
Right.
But ours is written that the government can maybe impede on the people's
say
rights.
there's
of
no
this.
success is a pretty pessimistic view. I mean, if you said that, I mean,
what part of this is a success? What part of this is the government's doing?
what part is not?
I'm not.
I don't know if any government official built my house or that TV or that. You know what?
How about the roads to the house?
How about my phone?
How about the infrastructure? Is that a government
there you
job?
go. How's the infrastructure doing lately?
It's
Now,
doing
if
well.
the people,
I mean,
is
we're going to get it funded, aren't we? To even make it better.
how long have we?
I mean, I can drive coast to coast in this country.
You can.
Okay, is that a success? Is it a success that I can have a podcast on Facebook and not worry about the government coming down on my back?
Well, hold on.
Now that's a part of a restriction
I gotta
of
say
government.
Should anybody ever have to worry about having a podcast and worrying about stormtroopers coming through your door?
You know
because of
what?
what you say.
You know what? 2 years ago, I'd believe you. But after seeing how this country's splitting and how they're talking about this election, I'm getting scared. I'm saying, you know, people are not
But this
accepting
is
the normal.
The government not being coming through your door is not a success of the government. That's a success of government being involved.
I'm old school, but I really believe it's the government for the people, by the people, of the people. Okay, no, I believe that. And you know, if I put on a military uniform for 20 years, which I did, you know, if I defended that reason and I did not believe that, I'm a hypocrite. You know what I'm saying? Is this government, this country is the government. You're right, and the individual participation into that government.
Well, then that would make me want to really limit people coming into this country from other communist nations like Mexico.
Well, Mexico's not communist.
Oh, okay. If you say,
I mean,
maybe you can call it a dictatorship then. But look, when you say these individual people, we're starting to mold and melt more intensely with other people all around the world that come from much, much more regulated governments, and they're used to that and they're okay with it. But they come here because they want something different. It's like when people from California come to Tooele.
Right. I know. And
you know what? And then we're going to give them the same say as someone who says, I like my freedom. And then these people don't understand the freedom that they're attracted to yet.
What'd you go with? You go lemon?
No, I can only. God, this is such a heady bastard.
Okay. Well, no.
So I don't want to give everyone the option to dislodge my freedom.
All right, we'll get back on track. We're not going to agree on a lot of stuff. So Eric asks again, and this is a very pro 2A podcast and pro 2A group. You know, it just is.
There's your way and your way.
Pretty much. Yeah. Okay. Hey, I'm good and I'm efficient. I don't give a fuck. Anyways, what gun laws have been proposed that will stop mass shootings? Do you see this fucking head? I'm pouring head.
Yeah.
And every once in a while, some beer drops to the bottom of it. So what gun laws? Well, I don't know.
What is a common sense gun law, I guess, is the question you're trying to get
What
to.
would you do via gun laws to what gun laws would you like to see happen?
You know, if I drive a Ferrari, I pay insurance for that vehicle.
Okay.
If I want to own an automatic weapon, I should pay insurance for that weapon.
You want to own an automatic weapon?
Really,
an automatic weapon, you have to go through an FFL licensing where they dig in deeper.
I mean,
you mean a semi-automatic weapon?
semi-automatic? I mean, it is.
So-
It's your right to bear arms, but you should have to be responsible.
So you should have to get insurance for that. Now, let me ask you, do you think in these inner city black communities there are people who maybe
Can't afford
may not be able to
insurance.
afford that level of self-defense that you might be cutting out of the ability? See, I may be able to afford it,
Right.
and I'm lower middle class white guy, but do you think maybe there's some inner city
He's
blacks who might need
This
this?
Chinese, don't let him fool you.
Yeah, that's right. Who might need the ability to have self-defense, and they want to pursue it legally, but you've cut them out of the market by pursuing an insurance gambit that they can't meet.
They kind of did that in New York where I lived.
Bang!
Greg.
They
So hold on, $400 a year for one pistol on your permit. If you had two pistols, guess what you paid? You doubled it, and you put
$800.
that pistol on your permit too.
and
if
you
they
still,
gave it to you,
and you still, yeah, and you had to
how many
beg-
people can afford
beg
that?
for that permission. And how's California's crime rate this year, or death rate, murder rate is up? What is it? 320% this year.
You know what kills a lot of people? Cars.
Cars do.
Well,
Yeah.
they do, and you pay insurance.
We should
cars,
ban
don't
them.
Yeah.
You know, I
Well,
mean, common sense
I
car
think
law.
Minnesota as a state is up 400%.
We don't even have a bus that goes to the airport anymore in Tooele.
Minneapolis.
Are they trying to kill us? Are you trying to kill us, Tooele?
Now, is that the reasoning? On
Minneapolis
Let's-
isn't putting out their actual
let's-
numbers. They're
can we at
folded
least
into all
agree
of
on one thing?
Minnesota.
We'll agree on this.
All right.
The mass shootings are sad. They're a sad commentary.
They're a travesty.
Okay. And the shooting in Vegas, 50 people from the rooftop.
Uh-huh.
No reason why. I mean, it's
You know
not,
what? It's funny.
It's not. No, but we. I just
How
want to come
come that
agreement.
doesn't
Is
seem
that-
to have been looked into like the others have?
Why wasn't anyone carrying assault rifles on their backs at the concert so they could fire
Is
back?
that the society you guys want to live in?
Yeah,
Do you want really? Because I don't.
because I did it
I mean,
for
you know
21
what?
years. I'm
In
good.
60 years of life, I have never pulled a weapon on anybody, and I have never called a cop. I have never been paranoid. I do not want to feel paranoid walking down the street, feeling like,
In 60 years of life, have you always lived in Tooele?
oh no, I'm from Chicago.
You're
I'm
from Chicago.
I'm
Yeah, but
Chicago.
what part of Chicago?
No,
there's
no,
there's
no.
multiple
Okay,
parts
let
of
me talk.
Chicago.
I'm from
buddy.
Hammond, Indiana, right outside Gary. Then let's talk about the revolution. When I was growing up again, gangs were around, and that you go get in the
Not
gang,
the
you go-
revolution, you mean the evolution.
well, no. Well, let me tell the story, and then
Yeah.
we'll say, okay. So you get in a fight.
Mhm.
Maybe it was just fists. It was maybe a crowbar or whatever. It was a fight. Okay. Come late 70s, you know what? Knives and chains.
Mhm.
Come to 80s, it was guns. So, so if I was walking down the street as an adult and some 12-year-old came to me and said, give me your wallet, I say, you're not taking my wallet. He points a knife at me. Guess what? You're not taking my wallet. You point a gun at me. Here's my wallet. It's the equalizer. So guns became prevalent in the 80s, came and where the gangs started the shooting and that. So, I mean, there is no answer. I mean, there is an answer, but we have to come to realize that both sides are going to have to give on this.
Let me pose this. If someone robs Walgreens, what do they do? Say someone holds
Who's
up
they?
Walgreens.
Who's
for
they? The robber or Walgreens?
What does Walgreens do if someone robs them and steals all their OxyContin?
They make an insurance claim.
No, what's the first thing they do? Step one.
Surrender?
Even before they make the insurance claim.
They surrender.
No,
They call the cops.
They call the cops.
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Now, why did guns enter the equation on drug dealers?
You can't
Most
call
of
the
that
cops.
crime has to do with gangs, and gangs at that time were dealing drugs and probably still are.
All right.
They cannot call the cops, so they have to seek redress in their own way. And because they can't call the cops, and there ain't no goddamn dealer that has an insurance policy for his dime bag being robbed, he has to exact extreme violence to send a message.
Right. Kind of like when
So-
you don't pay your taxes.
So
We legalize drugs. We legalize them all across the board. Matter of fact, let's go grab, Dimebag Daryl off the corner who's dealing now, and let's send him to pharmacy school so that he can go back there, open up a storefront, and run it in a honest manner in front. I'm telling you, the murder rate would plummet if we
Jared,
did just that.
I don't think there's a huge disagreement between the two aisles, the Democrat Party and the Conservative Party.
No, they both
when
want to
it
keep
comes
it
to the
illegal.
drug war.
Because
I don't. Greg, am I wrong?
No.
If we present our opinion right here on this table, how similar do you think it would be on a scale of 1 to 10?
if we did what?
If me and Greg presented our opinion about the drug war on this table, how similar do you think it would be on a scale of 1 to 10? 10 being very similar and 1 being absolutely different. I think it would probably be somewhere between 8 and 9.
I do too. I mean, it's
The plebs don't want the war on drugs. If you go talk to most people, the
Yet
plebs don't
another
want war
government
on
success.
Well-
License plates are being made today because of the war on drugs
Well-
for the government.
and it is. I
Well,
mean,
governments are chalking W's up on the blackboard. There's another one.
we will see cannabis legalized within the next 5 years.
I don't cannabis. I want to see crack legalized.
Well, no, I agree with you.
I
but it's a
want to
step-
see fentanyl
Well,
legalized and dealt out in appropriate amounts by a pharmacist with the goddamn needle next to it. And the pharmacist has a safe room with a nurse in there holding Narcan so that you can go and get your high. And then on your way out, he has another room where he offers support for you to get off that shit.
And the same thing with hookers for me. I
Hell yeah.
I think if the government leaves hookers alone, you'll see a reduction in STDs.
right.
I think you'll see a reduction in
Mm.
crime.
If you
Pimps will be.
I
a
don't
thing
see
of the
why
past.
hookers can't be sold out of the pharmacist's office also. We'll call it mental health personnel.
see now we're talking because I am so far for individual rights. You take the drug, you abuse the drug, you're responsible.
Boom.
You know what I'm saying?
Boom. We
But-
can actually charge people like everyone says, well, the drug dealers steal from grandma. Okay, there's a crime we
So
can
it's
deal
grandma's
with.
fault because it's her drug.
No, well, there's
She had possession of it, Jared.
No,
it's
they-
her fault. We should take grandma
no,
out
they
and
didn't
electrocute
steal
her.
drugs from grandma. They stole money. But there's something we can charge. The theft is a freaking crime. We can charge the theft. We can deal
Theft
with
is a
it like
crime,
that.
Yes. You know, like
But
Greg
also-
said, the guy who stole my gun, he's the criminal, not me. Him. That is the criminal. I should be able to live in a world where I don't even have to lock my
Yeah,
door.
what if he comes in your house and steals a pan and then goes out and smacks someone with it? Should I be in trouble for that?
Well, tell me,
Because didn't he commit a crime to get into
how
my
many
house?
pans have had a killing in a school?
Probably
I mean,
Blunt
probably in a
objects kill
school.
more
I mean-
people
I mean,
than
the
guns.
thing I-
Actually, knives
Well,
outnumber
you know what?
guns.
I mean, I can't walk
What about
away from
ladders?
elementary
I've
kids.
got 5 ladders.
Jared, but it's not a joke when these kids are getting killed. It's not.
I've got 5 ladders
So
on
how
my
do
property.
we solve it? How do we solve it? How do we stop a mass shootings?
And schools and Zoom will be the
And
No, no,
dominant
is that-
form of
really?
education.
Yeah, let's not
Your
gather kids
safe.
into it.
Let's not go to movie theaters. Let's not do anything. Let's live in a world of fear.
No.
Because as long as you have a world of fear, we have a 1984 situation.
Oh, no,
us and
Greg.
them.
It's not that I'm afraid. I just will save money if we get rid of public schools.
Well, no,
I like it. That's a good point.
I mean, but
And that way
you know
they're
what I'm
not
saying?
stealing from it.
It's a world of fear. Now you might want to live in a world of fear. I don't. It's my right.
Well, I'm wondering. I more want to know why the school shootings are happening.
Me
what
too.
started them? I don't want to blame the gun because we had guns.
But no, but okay. Well,
You know,
let's make a point though, and then this is what is killing the child. It is a piece of lead going through a body. That is what's doing the killing. Okay, it's not the person; it's the lead. Just like in a car crash.
So what
Is
do you want to do? Should we?
No, I what I would like to do is have a real open national talk about how we solve this.
Okay,
And
so-
until both sides will say, you know what, maybe the machine gun or the semi-automatic, maybe if we could come from both sides, sit down and talk and
I'm
talk.
afraid not.
Well, see
The most popular sporting rifle in the country, and you're going to come out and say That's illegal now.
I'm not saying that's illegal.
So either
Jared.
you have
What
to
I'm saying
pay a
is we
huge-
need to come together
huge
and
fine.
talk.
Now, I'm wondering why they started, because the Armalite rifle's been around since the 50s. And that's what AR stands for. It doesn't mean assault rifle. It means Armalite rifle. It's a company that designed it and manufactured the first group of them. But
In the AK?
it means,
Kalashnikov.
Yeah.
Alice, what's his first name?
He just died, didn't he? Something.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. You know what his claim to fame was?
A wooden rifle.
No. His claim to fame was, I've got a Kalashnikov.
He
in
was
the
a
other room.
general in the Russian
No,
army.
he was not.
Yeah, he
He
was.
was well, after he was a tank mechanic. He was a tank driver. I don't need to
You
go
can
down
do
a long,
everything in communism. Can't
I don't
you?
need to drag down a long history subject, but communist Russia elevated this guy because he invented something, or I should say he stole it from the Germans, like the Kalashnikov rifle, that everyone else already had, because they were communist. They had a closed system. But anyways, he invented an oil pressure gauge that didn't leak. True
Bravo.
hero. Everyone else had one. So honestly, what he did is he stole one off probably a destroyed tank from somebody else, and then said, "Look what I invented." And they elevated him to the engineer, or to the inventing corps, or whatever they called it. And that's where he made the Kalashnikov. And he says, "No, I never did copy the STG 44 on that," but that's exactly what he copied. He just made it out of
And see, if he was a
lesser
capitalist,
materials.
he'd be right up there with Jeff Bezos with that AK.
Sure, but if he was a capitalist, he wouldn't lie about
You
it.
would.
He wouldn't lie about it and say, "No, I invented this off my own head. I didn't copy."
You know,
else."
Jared, it's not lying if you're in communist Russia, because if you don't lie in communist Russia, you probably get shot if you tell the truth.
that is another.
So
good
I
point.
just wonder, really,
Mhm.
is with the mass shootings, that is the status quo okay
How many-
with you guys?
How many mass
No,
shootings have we
Let me
had?
say something, Jared. Let me say something. How many BLM fire bombings has there been on an IRS building,
Ooh, boy, that's a big question.
and why?
So
Because they don't recognize that the IRS is their true threat.
does the yin and the yang justify the shootings? I mean, I just don't. I hate it when you're going to take something out from here and say, "Well, what about this?" I'm asking a question.
Okay.
Is the mass shootings that is occurring weekly in this nation? Well, it seems weekly. I mean, and when I'm saying something, if you want, next time if I come, I'll get the facts and I could pull up my links.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying, anybody who's watching the news can see is it okay with you guys? Is shooting of kids where teachers, is that okay? Or is there a reason why we should come together to talk?
Is there a reason why we're not arming our teachers?
There's a good reason. I was with the
Like we
National
do
Guard
the
unit,
IRS.
and those guys shoot every 1 year. I could see some of these teachers shooting. You know what? Is there a reason? Is there a reason why you want to go to an armed population? Are you really that paranoid?
Greg, I used to live with a rifle on my back, and the only thing that really annoyed me was the fact that if I forgot it after I got my Happy Meal at McDonald's at the base, and then it's, oh shit, I just left it there.
And you put on your uniform, right?
God,
God, you left a weapon in McDonald's?
Oh.
Well,
no.
it was actually Burger
no, no.
King. They didn't have the
Oh,
McDonald's.
yeah.
We're taking the fifth now.
You left a weapon
I
at a
know.
Burger King. See, I was in the Army. He was in the Marines.
And sometimes they would fall.
Had that
if you
happen,
set them down on the
What
floor, they'd fall.
But is
Had
he Air
that
Force? Is
happened-
he Air Force?
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Had that happened in the Army and the Marines, we would still have a fucking limp.
No.
You leave your weapon without.
Hey, look,
Matter
I
of
went
fact-
back for it before anyone noticed.
Matter of fact, had I left my weapon out of arm's reach, I'd still be walking with a limp. Not just leave it somewhere else. But it's a different game. And either way,
But when you're taught
is
to actually have discipline with the
Okay.
weapon, you're comfortable with it, and in fact,
But-
you become equal. Like a small
But-
woman is equal
Right.
to a large Andre the Giant.
or above.
And I'm
as
5
in
foot
my
5.
Example,
I'm
the
5'5".
12-year-old pointing a gun at you becomes more than an equal. He becomes a superior.
A 12-year-old wouldn't point guns at me if everyone had a gun.
You know,
He'd be dead.
it's maybe that's your answer. It's not mine.
What is your answer then, Greg?
I don't
That
know.
is the big question.
My answer is I really think we do need a national debate on how we're going to proceed.
I think
We need answers. We don't need debates.
I think
Well,
we need to.
First of all, we need to. Your side needs to say they compromise on something.
On
And
what?
and mean,
Look, hold on.
If
Hold
you
on.
compromise-
I want you to explore this fucking compromise with me.
okay.
This compromise where you want to illegalize the Armalite rifle or you want to levy hefty fines.
Okay.
How many people, how many of your fellow fucking Americans that you propose to love will have to either give up something that they bought with their hard-earned money or pay a fucking huge fine
or
to
be
keep?
responsible for it, so they're not killing some kid in the
Who-
house. No, Jared,
Who's
you're
not
gonna-
responsible
You're
for
not
it?
going to raise your voice and talk to me like, oh, what?
Who's not
who the
responsible
hell can-
for it?
I am telling you, dead kids. Have you
No,
seen
name
that
me a
child?
fucking person that's not responsible for their weapon system.
The one that shot up Connecticut. How about that? How about that school?
The one that-
26 kids dead at what is it? How
You
26
mean the kid
elementary-
went into his mother's room,
Okay, so their mother wasn't responsible.
killed her dead. He killed her.
Was the mother responsible?
I don't know. Maybe we could ask
But
her when we die and go to fucking heaven.
Was the parents that had their dead kids there? Were they supposed to say,
And
"Oh,
then-
you know what, that weapon, you know what?"
And then he
I
accessed her
understand.
safe. Now maybe she shouldn't have given
don't.
him. Maybe she shouldn't
Maybe
have had
she
any
shouldn't have.
access to the safe. But he went in there and killed her
No.
with the 22.
Now, what about the guy who shot up the theater in Denver or Colorado?
Oh, you mean the one that
That was a
went to
gun-free zone.
college and talked to his
is he responsible? Who
his
was it? Where'd he get the
psychologist
gun?
about that he was going to do that for
Okay.
months.
Maybe the answer is we should do mental screening before you do it. Maybe there is some type of answer.
Or maybe we find out what is breaking in these people.
Right. I mean, there's no doubt.
Now hold on, wait.
But you're saying
who gets to decide
You're
the
saying-
mental screening process?
I don't want a mental screening. I want to know what's breaking in the people that commit these.
Maybe
See,
some ladies
you're saying my
that lay
side-
in milk and they
you
can
s-
decide like
you
our
say my
future.
side needs to compromise, and that compromise is a heavy punishment on half the population.
Or responsibility.
Or what's the responsibility? She had a gun safe. She met all of the laws
Jared,
required
there
by
is-
Connecticut.
There is, gosh, I looked at this not too long ago. How many mass shootings this year? It's unbelievable. Where there's been over four people shot in an incident.
That's because Trump is not president that we're having.
Oh
all these
my
mass
gosh!
murders.
Oh yeah. It might be.
You know what? How come mass shootings? How come mass shootings?
Oh, yeah, I believe that one.
Well, how come mass shootings did seem to kind of slow down during Trump's
They didn't.
presidency?
They didn't.
But they weren't reported.
Oh, yeah, maybe that was it. Maybe it's,
It was so entertaining. To
no.
watch.
Was they just
I mean,
busier?
if you want to pull up and see last year's mass shootings, I
And
think
no,
that-
I agree with you. Mass shootings are horrible.
and there's got to be an answer, don't you? We can't just accept the status quo. This is what kills me. We go, oh, we pray, and it's like we're tired. I'm tired of praying.
Do we want to go Great Britain's route to where now they're blunting your kitchen knives?
I don't know. I don't know, Jared. I'm the first to admit I really don't know the answer, but I know there's a problem. And as long as you keep saying, "This is my gun. I'm keeping it," you know, and I'm not willing to I'm not willing to do this. It's going to keep happening, and the line was going to be drawn.
So it's illegal, apparently.
I mean, you don't know if I own. See, the great thing I like about the Second Amendment is you don't know if I own a weapon. I love that. And there's a reason I don't tell anybody if I own a weapon or not, because I want you knocking up my door thinking that there might be something behind that door.
That's fine. Yeah. I mean, don't break into my house because it would prove to be an ugly day for you. The government spent a lot of money to make me proficient with that those weapon systems. They did. They spent a lot of money.
It's funny because there's a study that shows, people that have firearms don't necessarily use them when they need to use them. And it's a lot of times it's only the military or the police officer who's been trained that will actually use a weapon.
Well, there's a lot of study that you act more responsible in life when you have a concealed weapon on your
because
hip.
a lot of people will just freeze up if they haven't.
No,
been
it's
through the
not
training.
freezing up. It's because you recognize.
There's a book.
You know what? They've done studies that most people that are carried concealed when they're driving a car
Right.
do not get into road rage habits.
Well,
because they recognize that they carry that much weight with them.
there's a book called The God Factor, which talks about people freezing up. And it's like 15% will act in a crisis situation. 10% will just go, crazy. And 80% or whatever becomes catatonic. And they talked about like the people.
It happens a lot.
It's because if you look at.
Why do you think you went to basic training?
Well, it is. It's because you're taught a different way. The man and the wife who was shooting up in Sacramento walked by 2 people with weapons, and they didn't pull them. They cowered rather than pull the weapons to stop them. And it's because law enforcement, military are trained in a little different reaction. If you look, the cop that was in the bombing, surrounded by the bombers, shot him. The guy who stopped the mass shooting in the bar in Florida was military. Because most people, if they haven't been trained to use the weapon, maybe that's it. Maybe we should teach people how to really use a weapon.
God damn, you're entering our field.
Oh, I'm liking Greg now.
Well,
He's coming on my side.
But see what it is.
We want it in schools.
But
we want it mandatory.
The Second
We want to
Amendment.
start out.
Square dancing with assault rifles.
I want to start out in, what do you think? 2nd grade?
No.
They learned.
But should
They
it be?
learn how to check to make sure a weapon's clear.
No,
There's a video on YouTube with some Russian kids, and they're all in line, girls and boys,
Jesus.
and they're going through that Kalashnikov. Like,
Why do you
nothing
got to give me
is
an
there.
erection this
I know.
early in the night, Dave?
I'm jealous that our children aren't doing that.
yeah, but
God, they learned to field strip it. They time it.
well, so,
That's one of their
wow.
I did
Yeah,
bowling.
that probably makes that hits me here. I mean, that's a lot. Because, but the Second Amendment doesn't mean I have to own a weapon, right? The Second Amendment means I have a choice.
It's a living, breathing document. We can change that.
No, I know, yeah.
in
I'm
some
scared.
towns, in some states,
Yeah, but it's not right.
you're required to own a weapon.
Yeah, but that's not right.
If
It's
you
not-
want to
it's not
take
right.
them
You know,
away,
he's right. It's
they
not
want to
right.
force you to buy them. We'll split hairs on that.
I think let's just leave the Second Amendment as shall not be infringed. And you know what? You're right. It's a tragedy that there's kids dying in the schools, but we don't treat our schools like we do our banks or our IRS buildings. We don't protect them.
Shocking.
Because you want to know why? People don't give a shit about your kids.
Oh, that's
Except
not true.
the rich people's schools, I'm
Mhm.
sure they're protected.
So I guess you would justify a raise in taxes to put bars on the school windows and cameras.
No, let's just let the Proud Boys go patrol the halls.
Oh, yeah.
Shit.
I bet you nobody will screw
Listen,
that school.
listen.
Holy shit. God dang.
You know what's that group's a little scary. I mean,
They are?
yeah.
Not as scary as some of your groups, bro.
No. I mean, I was looking for a group, and I saw these white guys.
What does-
oh my gosh! And I joined this group, and you know what? We beat each other up. And
you can't call them
I'm-
white guys. They're not. There's like gay guys.
Oh.
There's
Well,
like
gay guys can be
Mexicans.
white. Can you believe that?
No.
Oh yeah.
Really?
Yeah, really.
No, stop.
but
So the Proud Boys is a diverse group. They are not all
but
white.
Listening to them, come on. I mean, I agree.
Well,
I
they're
agree.
Western.
I agree. The 2 guys you had, especially the one, they pretty
They're-
articulate. They changed their
They're
changed
Western.
their messenger.
No,
You-
that's been
No,
their
if you
message.
listen to the guy who started it, I mean,
They've purged.
The
Greg, is
guy
what
who
they did, is
started
they
it,
purged.
have you
the
You know-
Canadian,
Vice magazine?
I know Vice Magazine. Yeah, I know who started. I know the guy's
He
history.
started that too.
Yeah,
This was the leader of the Proud Boys.
right. I agree. I mean,
So there's a white guy with a tan.
God damn, that guy
oh,
tans.
come on. No.
That guy tans
Okay,
like a motherfucker.
Let's go to Western. What was it? Chauvinism.
Western chauvinist.
What is that? What is
That
that?
means he believes the civilization in the West is better than the civilization anywhere else.
Now, today, or 1950s or 1960s.
I would
probably
disagree.
today.
I would disagree because Liberland is the home of the free.
But that's
right
what
there.
he believes.
Yeah, but,
But
no. I'm saying
they believe that.
He said you had to make the statement. So,
But
I'm-
Antifa seems to believe
No,
that
wait. I'm not-
Marxist
no, I'm
communist
not
is the
defending
best way to
Antifa.
go.
they don't. I mean, I'm not saying.
But that's
Antifa
their
is a-
mutual
But
enemy.
see, you're trying to associate me with.
Oh, no,
Antifa.
I don't-
You are Jared.
So you
the
want? I mean,
Democrat
I know.
Party is
I mean,
definitely
But
associated.
the
with
Democrat
Antifa.
Party does.
The Democrat
how's he up
Party
to Antifa?
allowed.
Will
Antifa
somebody
to run
please give me a
roughshod.
number of how big Antifa is in the United States, please? How
Oh,
big? How
Big
many?
enough
guess-
to take cities.
How big is
What
the
city?
KKK?
What city?
Oh yeah. All right. Let's say this. Let's compare
I mean,
Antifa to the KKK.
and let's talk about the subject nobody wants to talk about. January 6th. Who took that January 6th bill? Capitol.
I think it was a mix of both because
I do
John
too.
that was on here
They-
is a member of
they
BLM.
put, they I wish I did know the truth about that. Like when I go to heaven, that'll be something I ask
So
Jesus.
no, but so you would agree there probably should be a committee and we should talk about it, right?
Depends. Are we spending money on it?
Well, there should be it was an attack on our capital.
If it's a voluntary committee that I don't have to contribute tax dollars to, or nobody else does, if they don't want to, yes. If it is going to be no, because right now I want to know.
You don't want to know
Did
who
I get
attacked our
biological?
capital?
I want to know who biologically
Honestly, I
attacked
don't-
me. That's
me,
who I want.
I
Do we
don't
need
care
to
about
throw
the
nukes at
Capitol.
China?
You know, let's see. And
Do we need to throw nukes at China right now, or don't we? Is the big question.
At China?
Not January 6th.
I hope we're not throwing nukes at
well, no,
anybody.
so January 6th really is not a.
compared to the biological bomb that hit us.
What did they?
No,
what did
it's
they
nothing.
do on January 6th? That's a great.
They
Big,
didn't even hurt one of those
travesty.
paintings in the background in the hallway.
My
Not
gosh.
one.
They stole a pedestal. Don't
Yeah.
you
Oh,
dare!
He took a
You,
stand.
you guys really did not see police officers getting hit with
I
flags.
Did
saw
they
it.
Okay, no,
But then
yeah, but were they
But see,
aggressive?
now we're gonna minimize it. Say, oh, that's
Well, hold on,
that's
hold on.
our side.
Hold
That's
on.
our
How
side.
many of those police officers got hospitalized? And was there,
No.
according to your words, was there any provocation?
There's been 4 deaths
Yes, there
because
was
of it.
provocation.
The deaths were old people there at the protest.
Old people don't have a right to protest. I mean,
No,
they should die.
They died
I mean-
because they got.
I mean, they should die. Oh my God!
I'm not saying they should die. I'm saying
no, but you're rationalizing.
they were old people with heart
our
problems.
capital got
Actually,
invaded.
there was
I
one
mean,
lady.
and that's okay.
There
I
was
mean,
one lady, an old lady. I think she was
vice
50
president
something,
was looking to be hung.
who
I mean, that's
passed out.
okay.
She passed out and got trampled. So you're correct.
So I mean,
She
but
passed out in the crowd, and I wasn't at
So,
January 6th.
I mean, using
and I didn't support it.
But
What
you can see it on TV.
my
I mean,
issue-
you want to show me film clips?
You
want to
hear my issue of it with it is that your party kept the fuck shut up about goddamn burnings of Minneapolis.
Oh my God!
They burnt their neighborhoods to the ground.
There was a riot there
They shut
because
their
George Floyd got that. Why?
Okay.
Why did
Do
they?
you
Why
think-
did they attack the
So
Capitol?
why is it
Why did
okay?
they attack the
Why is it
Capitol?
okay?
One at a time. One at a time.
Why is it okay for them to riot and burn a city to the ground and not okay for another group to riot and break into a building? According to you, I think they're all wrong. They're all dog shit.
Okay. So you justified the action.
Did I justify it?
So really, what happened in the Capitol was okay.
No.
A couple of people died,
Didn't
and they
I
didn't
just-
take paintings.
What was my
the
last
fuck,
word?
Jared? I mean, look at what happened.
Dave said they didn't take paintings. I said
okay.
I said
Not one of those paintings was injured. I was so
okay.
impressed.
Okay.
I
But
said they're both dog
that is our
shit.
government. That is a sign. That is a representation of our government. I mean, what?
Did you forget who you're talking to right now?
Well, Jared, and it's easy to say. I
Hey,
mean,
look,
do you
look,
love this country,
I
or are you
think-
just a member of a?
Greg,
of a nation?
I love this country.
Okay, what is
I
the country?
dislike our
What is the
country.
Is
A
it
country.
just shore to shore, or is it the government? or
Yeah,
is
it's
it
shore to shore.
is it
I would
the-
say.
Is it the mayor? What is the country?
You know what? I would include the mayor long before I'd include anything federal. I would
Okay.
include the mayor long before I'd include anything county. And then the county would come before state. And then the state would come miles before federal.
But it's the other way around in reality, right?
Boom, baby. How come Wyoming has a drinking age of 21?
Because of the federal highway tax.
Why do we have now, Greg? What's your opinion on that? As a Democrat, and me as a conservative, I suppose most conservatives are like 21 is a good age. Me, I'm totally against it. But you yourself, just you as Greg, what's your opinion about the drinking age?
My honest opinion is, if you enlist, you should be able to drink, man.
Man,
You know what?
exactly.
I mean, that's so.
Wyoming had an 18 age drinking tax until what was it, 83?
Right. We used to go to Wyoming all the time to buy beer.
It was 83 when they changed it. And why'd they change it? Because the Fed says we will stop fixing your highway. Now, I know this for a fact that Wyoming held out as long as they could until I-80 through Wyoming was, again, like you said, you can drive from sea to sea,
Right.
except through fucking Wyoming. And then Wyoming in the 80s, they started fixing the neglect that the federal government's
All right.
paid to that road so they could force Wyoming
So,
onto the dole of everyone else.
I mean, you can't argue a 21 drinking age is not. I mean,
Denmark, there is
you
nothing.
just
Well-
you just fucking argued it.
well,
a
no, I'm
second
saying
ago.
hey, you asked a personal opinion, but really, if I'm going to make an argument with the federal government, it's not going to be the drinking age. I mean, there's reason.
Good point. Let's
I
start
mean-
with taxes.
All right.
Woodrow Wilson. How about that? He sold us. Our taxes go to pay off a debt for what?
World
How-
War I, wasn't it?
Well,
Hey, Jared, I can't see the comments if there's any. Can you?
there's none right now. There'll be a little yellow thing shows up right there when new comments pop up. It was in 1913 when he put forward the Federal Reserve Act. It was on December 21st when everyone else was home, in case you're wondering, at midnight. Just in case you're wondering. That way he could control who was in there to vote for it.
Or is it just that Dr. Fauci work ethic?
Oh, yeah. Answering emails all night.
So
There seems to be some. Now, I don't know. I don't want to impugn shadiness to Fauci. He's a bureaucrat. He's been doing what he does. He's the highest paid government official we have. Did you know that?
Well, Jared, let me ask you this. So Obama said no to the.
Yeah, it was
hold on,
Obama
wait,
that
let me
shut it
finish.
off.
Let me finish.
Uh-huh.
Obama said no.
wait, Obama.
Obama said no to
How
gain
about
a function.
Obama making it legal to carry firearms on
Hey,
federal forest land?
I can-
Obama.
No, just fact check me here, Jared. Obama said no
Mhm.
to gain of function research
Yes,
for
2008.
Wahoo? No, Wuhan.
No, for gain of function research, period.
Now, the transition between Obama and Trump, Fauci
How
worked that time period.
How
where-
it worked out is it looks like it appears Fauci has a boss. There's a guy above Fauci. Even though Fauci gets paid a lot more than he does, it's crazy. But the NAID, National Institute of Infectious Diseases, National something, dildos in charge. Anyways, there's a guy above him, a guy that actually runs it. And what happened is Eco Health, I think is the name of the corporation. They gave them the grant, and Eco Health gave the grant to Wuhan. I think the federal government giving grants like that is a big issue of, and Rand Paul talks about a lot of the weird spending we have, and you may not agree with it, but I implore you to watch when he does his speech about some of the spending, like the federal government studying the sex cycles of cockroaches and weird shit and millions of dollars.
Teaching Chinese hookers how to drink more efficiently.
Well, no,
That's a
that
real
one,
thing.
That's a good one though, because Chinese hookers need to stay hydrated. But anyways, and I'm not a super
So
fan of
thin.
Rand Paul. I like Rand Paul. He's one of my favorites in there. Thomas Massey is probably my guy. I like Thomas Massey, not just because of his rhetoric, but
Back to
because
gain
of
of function.
how he lives. But anyway, so it went through a back door through the Eco Health, or I think that's the name of it. I don't have shit.
It went through or was pushed through. I mean, there's a
We don't
difference.
know. We can't argue. I don't want to argue. Like Fauci may not have even known, but Fauci started questioning it back in, I think, like December. And so what that says in December of 2019. So what that says is Fauci, first of all, knew something was coming, and then he starts flip-flopping it. And in a lot of his emails, he's asking, could this be us?
Right. I mean,
And what I don't like about Fauci and the World Health Organization, which the World Health Organization is a Chinese tool right now. They are. Everything they said, everything they support. Just like the World Health Organization 8 years ago supported some pretty horrendous stuff going on in Africa because Africa was their go-to at the time. And it could be argued because of China. And maybe they just see the writing on the wall. China is going to blaze ahead because a fascist economy is pretty efficient. A command economy is efficient, but I like voluntarism. I do not like fascism because it's anti-voluntarism. I don't like communism because it's anti-free people. You become a slave to the state under both of them. And I don't want to be a slave to the state. But anyways, so what it looks like is Fauci started noticing these things, but he got up on the stage over and over and lied instead of coming clean right in the beginning. Hey, it looks like we may have done something. When everyone's coming out and saying, oh no, it's xenophobic to stop flights. When Pelosi came out and said it's xenophobic to stop flights coming from China, you know what China had done? Stopped flights going from Wuhan to other parts of China. But they still allowed flights from Wuhan to go international. So it's almost like China maybe had a design behind this. I'm not going to impugn that they did, but it's almost like they did. It smells a lot like shit.
It's the same
China
theory
wouldn't let you travel from Wuhan to other areas of China.
Well, okay.
But they would let you get on an international flight from Wuhan to the U.S. And then if you were flying back from the U.S. or Spain or Italy, if you were getting back on, your flight could only go back to Wuhan.
And that comes back to responsibility of your bioweapons.
Your flight couldn't go to Beijing. Your flight couldn't go
Okay,
to
so
Wuhan.
I mean, we probably can all agree the way this pandemic was handled, mistakes all around, right?
Oh yeah,
I
all
mean,
around both sides. And hey, Trump fucked it up.
He did. I mean,
He shouldn't have declared a national emergency at all.
well, I don't know about that.
And
but
Pelosi shouldn't have tried stopping him from stopping flights from China. They should have actually, you know what? If they don't want to stop flights from China, that's fine. Why don't we ramp up to where we figure out, like maybe, like everywhere else has to us, make a 2-week quarantine and we're going to watch you and take your temperature. Maybe make you pay for it.
I agree. We should have shut down the borders until we got a handle on this. We would, instead of a 500,000 down, we could have been under 100.
That damn xenophobe. He tried that too. That fucker.
But
he was stopped though. I mean,
first he had to admit there was a problem, and he wouldn't do that.
no,
I mean, he still doesn't admit there's a problem.
It's hard to admit you got biologically bombed.
That's
I
a good
agree.
point.
I agree.
It's the hardest weapon to detect. It really is. And as a bio guy myself in the Air Force, that was the hardest thing to detect. After we were like, oh wow, look, we got bombed. It took us, by the time you figure it out, you're already suffering the effects.
So
that is true.
So you leave a weapon in Burger King, you don't leave any bios, do you?
Yeah, I'm I have insurance on my bioweapons.
Yeah.
I buy insurance on my
Oh,
bioweapons.
good.
The rough part about bioweapons is they self-reproduce. His weapon only had 30 rounds in it.
Well, that's the scary thing about weapons is you can't control what side it goes on. I mean, chemical weapons, you can control what side.
And China doesn't really care about that as long as it doesn't kill
But
the warrior-aged males.
but
Funny, it didn't go after children either. I mean, the rhetoric that came out, the lies that came out from the World Health Organization, that just this last month they've been dialing back, but for a year, it's almost like this was designed to make an economy grind to a halt. And I'm sorry to say this, but the Democrat Party did just that in all their states. Whitmer shut her state down.
The Democrat Party wasn't in charge. I mean, how can you say when Trump was the leader?
States, governors.
The states decided.
Yes.
Whitmer decided.
You're right. If we had a national
Cuomo
response,
decided.
if we had a national
Why
response,
would
it
we
would have
want?
been
Why would we want
because
it
it
to be
was attacked
national?
on a national. It was an attack on our country.
No,
Do you not understand
I-
federalism?
I understand very
design?
well, Jared. Very well.
I'm grateful.
I mean,
So
that
you
is
want to
have a
give more
national
power
response.
more power to the general government.
You do not
then
want to
the-
give Trump power.
Wait.
like that.
You want power at the local government until they do something you don't
Yeah, I
want
want
to. Then you want troops to be sent.
I want the
I mean,
decision
that's
made
about-
by Harvey down the fucking street, and that's the furthest I want a decision to be made
Why is that?
because I know him.
What
can
has
go
the
talk
federal
to him.
government done to you, rather than give you a platform to talk about?
I
What
know.
has it done to you?
The federal government gave you this?
I mean, what
What
does
part
it
of
do?
this did the federal
Where
government
has
give
the
me?
federal government said, Jared, you can't do that, and you wanted to do something?
God damn, I'm
Buy
thinking,
certain guns.
what is it?
What is it?
45% tax. Yeah.
Oh,
45. You get
Correct.
45%. What wage are you? because there's no way I'm at 45.
Yes, you probably are. You
I'll
don't
bet it's
even
more
realize
than
it.
that because you get taxed on gas,
You get double
Well, I
tax.
know.
and then
but-
you get taxed when you buy some shit.
Okay.
And then when I get
And?
my income tax from the state, I have to report it the next year to the
Well, I
feds.
agree with that.
How
I
does
don't
that
like that.
fucking work?
I don't
So I
exactly.
get taxed twice, and then I get taxed on
Okay.
my
So
health insurance, and then there's a
so that's your
Ponzi-
problem is the tax.
There's a Ponzi scheme out there running right now, Social
so
Security,
taxes.
which Cuomo may have saved us on our Social Security. We might actually get it now.
Oh,
I mean,
so-
it wasn't in our
so
future.
your whole problem with the federal government is tax. Everything else they kind of leave you all wrong, or I
Greg,
every
tax
time-
is a pretty big deal. I
Well,
mean,
it is a
it
pretty,
kinda
but
is,
you know,
yeah.
what? I pay
Slavery.
taxes, and I look around at everybody in their houses, and the cars, and the streets, and the agree. Maybe we pay too much for military because of our taxes, but I look around at everything. Everybody has a pretty decent life.
I'd give it all up for freedom.
And what freedom? What freedom are you missing, Dave?
My freedom not to pay taxes.
How about
Okay, is that the major?
how
is that
about
the
not
whole
to
thing?
see my neighbors hauled away for drug use?
Oh, hey,
Hookers,
there's a
Chinese
green-
hookers
How
drinking
about
alcohol
when
irresponsibly.
Obama was raiding those cannabis dealers in California after the state had
You're
made it
right.
legal?
Greg. So just because we're not on a plantation picking the cotton in chains doesn't mean that it's okay to take 30%. Now,
So, how much should you give?
whatever you volunteer to give.
God,
Volunteer?
prior
Yes,
to
volunteer.
1913, you know what it was? Actually, prior to
It
1914,
should be
Because-
voluntary. Yes.
What was it? What was the income tax of the general?
There wasn't one. So I mean, so is that the Western life we want to go back to? Horse and buggy, no roads, where you maybe travel 10 miles from your home.
You think because the
No.
government isn't actually taking 50% of someone's income,
No, I don't.
you're going to go back to a horse
I
and
pay
buggy?
too much. I pay too much taxes too.
Ah,
I mean, but that's not the reason I say, oh, my government sucks. I don't want government. You know, I pay too much taxes.
now, also the war aspect, the
Okay.
eternal war through the Federal Reserve being able to print and come off the gold standard. I mean, how long do you think World War I would have lasted if we stayed on a gold standard as a worldwide economy? Probably not as long. We probably would have saved a lot more lives. But because we gave that power to government, we're losing lives. We've lost productivity. How many of those people that died in the trenches that had to go up and over, how many of them would have developed a type of penicillin that would have prevented an HIV coronavirus crossbred laboratory virus from killing millions of people today? Maybe you just think about all the wealth and all the life lost because we went off the gold standard. And when you really think about it, you should be sick to your stomach.
The funny thing is Bezos is an evil bastard when people voluntarily give him that money.
I don't think Bezos is evil.
But the
I think
government,
he should disperse a little bit of it.
but the government's not evil when they steal it from you.
Is there
You
a
know,
way?
what do you think it would look like if they did away with withholdings? If you had to pay your taxes month to month, or imagine quarterly. Imagine what the world, what do you think the average United States citizen would do if quarterly they had to sit down and run their numbers and then write that check? You know why they went with withholdings? Because no one would pay taxes
Right.
if they didn't. Imagine that. Imagine 33% of what you make in a month if you had to write a check for that out
I
to
still go back to the point.
the federal government. And it used to be we paid taxes to the state, and the state settled with the federal government, and then the federal government made the rest of what it needed from tariffs. That's how it used to be. But then the federal government wanted to get involved in your life. They wanted to spread their laws. I don't think there should be laws that are nationally recognized. Those laws should be done on a state level at the biggest.
So, like the Articles of Confederation, you want to go back to that? Is that where?
Oh
you know,
shit! God, that doesn't sound too bad.
I mean-
I'm liking the where you're going
Oh,
with this.
is that? But I don't like it. I mean, I look at
You don't like the Articles of Confederation?
no, not at all.
Why not?
Why?
Because 13 different countries, 13 different. I mean, the state power. Could you imagine what Utah would be if it had the ultimate state power?
What, it'd be
We'd
a place.
bureaucracy.
It'd be a place where you have to sell alcohol in special buildings. Stop me when I drift off what we already have. A place where you're taxed extra on that.
Right.
Now,
just
actually,
to maintain
when
that.
Utah was its own country, didn't it have like brothels in Salt Lake City?
It did in Salt Lake,
Yes.
Park City, or I mean,
also
Mercer,
when the Mormons first got here, this was a communist state.
yeah,
Dun dun dun.
Oh, I know.
really, yeah.
So we got some more comments rolling in. Let's go through them. You know what? This is weird. We are gaining. You know what? This talking shit really.
We're gonna have Greg
really
on more
getting-
often.
So, yeah,
It's good for
well,
ratings.
we've been talking. We want a leftist on the show. We want that.
You know what? I'm on the wrong side.
Greg
I should be
isn't.
sitting over there.
No offense, Greg. No offense,
Yeah.
but you're not that left.
Uh,
I don't.
you're- No, if you
No.
look at this though, you're on the correct side.
Oh, yeah.
Bingo, planned it right. Yeah, at least you wore the,
Hey,
the correct shirt. I've got it.
Let me read you the
So, David Garn says, "I'm at 45."
right there.
What does it say?
For my wife.
What did she say?
Don't worry about it.
Don't you drive. I'll have Ricky drop me off to pick you up.
Good. Yeah, yeah. Please do. Please do. We try to keep. If not,
No,
I can have my son give you a
no,
ride home
no.
too. No, we're
No.
all dude.
Hey, at point
We may-
05, there's no way.
We may argue, but we love you and we want you around. But anyway, so here's what we got. David Garn, I'm at 45% small business tax. That
That is rough. I mean,
that is insane. You know why I don't like corporate tax? How do you tax a corporation? A thing that is a conglomerate of things. Where does that tax ultimately come
that's
from?
why I don't think corporations should give to political parties. Because how do,
I agree.
Oh.
We should do away with that. What is it called? The dipshit, whatever. And that's Republicans pushed it through.
And
Of course,
you
it's the
can't
Democrats
stop
that
it.
use it.
You can't stop it with the future economy of Turtle Coin, because Turtle Coin is untraceable, untrackable.
Turtle coin. What about
yeah.
the Marrow? What's that one called? Jesus, I screwed him up.
Morano.
I dig it.
Yeah.
I stumbled him. All right. Jeremy says the only way we can fix the issue is to put term limits on Congress, drain the swamp, drain that damn
Hey,
swamp. I agree.
I agree with Jeremy. There should be terms.
I agree. Jeremy's
right.
Jeremy's in the Navy just like you were. Jeremy got out of the Navy, retired from the Navy just like you.
Wait. I wasn't Navy. Don't.
Fuck if
You were a Marine, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, who
It's like a
signed your
subdivision
check?
of the
Yeah.
Navy.
Jesus Christ, just
We have our own branch now.
just because
We
you
used
were
to be.
you don't have your own branch.
Oh, the hell we don't.
Marines-
We have a position on the chief of staffs now. So
Sure, they put a brown shirted Navy officer on the chief of staff. Your officers come from Annapolis. Your checks are signed by the Department of Navy, whatever. Anyways, I agree with that. I almost want to go a step further. I want to make it so that when someone's in Congress, Senate, or the presidency, their books are laid bare. And the whole time they're there, they're laid bare. And then for 10 years after, we get a look at their financials. Where are they getting money from? Is it honest, dishonest?
I want them to wear cameras to work.
Oh,
Just like so, cops are like the
dig it.
lower level pawns. The real chess pieces. Those are the political congressmen and senators. They're the ones that really don't have a boss until election day. We should be able to see what they're doing on a duty day. I think that it's not unreasonable.
Dude, how much do you think that they're just up there going, yeah. Anyways, I would say F them. Jeremy says I should really try to stop cursing on this show.
If you got to see what goes on in those political offices, you'd notice that, you know how like on those dental pictures when the dentists advertise on the magazines here for Tooele or Salt Lake, they have all these like pretty little girls in their scrubs, and then there's the dentist. He's like kind of like a Mormon family or something, you know, like, but if you were to look inside of all those offices of the congressman, of course, like the congressman is usually a man, but everyone else in that office is usually like some sort of like pretty girl. And it's so sexist to even think about, really.
It is,
to be honest with you,
It
but that
is.
is
That's why
that is what it is.
I'm not a fan of democracy. I'm a fan of nothing. And if I had to go with something, I like just monarchy. I like constitutional monarchy because you got someone to guillotine if they screw it up. I don't like the idea that you vote someone in and it's a political football game, and then 4 years later they leave, and they might leave you holding the bag on something fucked up.
Unless they guillotine you
All right.
first, Jared.
And hey, what was his name? Robespierre? How did he die? It's a question. He guillotined everyone. Then he got guillotined himself. You may have to pay taxes on a DUI. That is correct. I'll bet you have to pay taxes on fine. Stop right there, buddy. Worst part is when they pass laws, they don't apply to themselves. That is correct.
Mm-hmm.
That's craziness. And our judicial branch seems to be either corrupt or handicapped lately. It's really crazy. And I think that's something. I think the judicial branch should be separated from the executive branch and maybe put under the actual judicial branch, the justices. I think that the executive should not pick the judicial branch heads. I just don't think it should happen. I understand why they did it, because it makes for an efficient running system, but they need to do away with it.
Yeah, it's a check. It's supposed to be a check and balances. It's gotten so political, the judge appointments lately, that you're not just based.
Have you ever studied into what Grant did? And have you ever studied into what they did when Lincoln died, just so they could go after Johnston, and a fellow Democrat
who was impeached?
He was impeached.
What was he impeached for?
Well, because he was a Democrat and he didn't want to punish the South.
Okay.
That's what he was impeached for.
Yeah, it was one vote.
Have
that
you
saved him or something?
Have you ever looked at how you remember when they were talking about stacking the judiciary? Have you looked at historically? I mean, Lincoln went from 9 to 13 just so he could start the Civil War, and then back to 9 immediately. I mean, look at FDR. That was FDR's threat, so that he could get some.
It's Biden's threat.
It's Biden's threat. There's been Republicans that threatened it. Grant did it. Grant changed
nothing
it.
prohibited it.
Yeah.
So what we need is a fourth branch of government. That way, it's like a stool instead of a three-legged tripod.
There is a fourth estate.
Yeah, it'd be nice.
It's called media.
That.
It's called it is. It's the fourth estate.
The Second Amendment.
Yeah, they've done that. They've done a good job at that lately. So, anyways, I've got to go to the bathroom. So you guys keep chatting among yourselves, because
I already broke my seal twice, so it's about time someone joined me.
We're pretty close on rounding this up. But you guys ask any questions, Greg. Greg, we're trying to send an invite right now, honestly, for Greg to become a permanent member on the show, because it's pretty bad when a BLM person comes on and we just argue against them, and then a Proud Boy comes on and we just kind of bolster him. We want Greg in here.
No, I think I gave a little hardball question here and there on the Proud Boys.
Okay, hardball-ish.
I think I did. I thought I did.
Jesus Christ, you threw a fastball dead straight down so they could hit it out of the park. Anyways, but we need someone in here to argue against it, and we need someone in here to put the other voice on the other side, because we are excuse me while I puke in my mouth, a two-party system that is ruining a country, but we need both voices. We do need, I don't like calling them liberals. Liberal, if you go back to John Locke and all that, is a different animal. I'm the only liberal in this room. If you go back to that, I'm a pure individualist.
Mm-hmm.
And, but thanks
we don't count, do we?
I know, but
thanks to Rush Limbaugh, he changed
he did change
the word liberal. Yeah, actually, FDR kind of started. But anyways, we want to get him in here. We want that objective voice, and we do need the feminine voice in the room once in a while.
Wait a second.
What, Greg? You just assume it's you?
I know. Well,
but yeah, you guys keep arguing. I'll be right back.
So, I recently invited Lexi from Black Lives Matters to come on the show. Do you know Lexi?
I don't.
You do not. I really want her to come on. I want her to state her case. And she's actually done some positive things. And I told her, hey, look, come on here, explain what you've done that's positive, such as helping the Salt Lake City Police Department get the non-lethal shotguns, things like that. That was her pushing it. But we talk about communication between the aisles, between the political parties, between people of different opinions. When I invited her, she originally said yes, and then last minute told me no, and then told me no again, and then basically cold shouldered me. Now, as a Democrat, do you feel like it's a big deal to come on the show?
No, I noticed with Stormy. I mean, we talked when Stormy came along and came on. We treated more than fair. I mean, it was good questions. I mean, it put her on the spot sometimes, but it's just honest. It was an honest discussion, kind of like now. I mean, this is the problem we have is
that one's for you.
I saw that, but
you don't want to call it out open on here?
we need to start talking. Both sides need to start talking, and they've had. I mean, I encourage anybody that has
I think we need
a different opinion. You guys have been more than fair with everybody.
We try to be. We try to be. We try to point out just what we see is wrong. But I'm telling you, we get Republicans on here. I'm pretty rough on them too. I've got some serious objections to what they're doing, but I think we need a third party to arise. Now, the Bull Moose Party was a progressive Republican party, and the problem, progressives tend to be rich people that want their thumb on poor people's necks. That tends to be what it is. They may say there's something else, but they always tend to be that.
I would agree with that. I mean, I have personal experiences with that.
Yeah, and that's most of the time you're progressives, and they come from both sides, honestly. I mean, Mitt Romney is a progressive. He's not a conservative, not any way at all. And I'm not technically conservative either, because I think they're too liberal for me. No, because I think the Conservative Party has hung on to a lot of mantras. I think they need to let go, like the war on drugs. They need to let that go. We need to deal with that on the medical side. That there's no reason why we can't have pharmacists and doctors aiding people to get better and at least make sure there's no more ODs.
I agree. Yeah.
I think we need to deal with it like that. And then, on the Democrat side, they honestly, I don't think Democrats want to make guns. I don't think they want. I should say, honestly, the Democrats who know what the hell is going on don't want to. And I think because they recognize that is such a splitting issue that it would cause war.
Oh, I agree. I mean, we would.
But you are right. We do need to figure out what is causing these young men to do these shootings. And I would argue we need to look at, do we have an economic system that doesn't give them any chance at a future life? Has something happened? And everyone would say, well, free market, we're less free market than we were when we had an economic system that gave you a chance at a future life. So what's the difference there? Do I believe we should have some kind of regulations? Maybe. I would rather it be dealt with in tort courts. I'd rather take the money out of regulations and put it into courts. We have more courts. We deal with it more. If someone pollutes the water upstream from you, you take them to court. They hit redress. I would like to see a media that comes out and says, look, everybody, Walmart's paying their people dog shit. Their people are living substandard. So how about we all get together and we all say, we're going to shop at Target for the next freaking 40 days. Instead, the media is owned by whatever, and they don't come out and say any of that. They'll come out, when the shit's already passed around the internet news for months.
Yeah, I don't know. I have a different feeling.
Because if people quit shopping at Walmart because their employees are making substandard wages.
Is that true? Or is that
or
just
that
like
Walmart
an
makes,
example?
Well, it's an example. But if people said, you know what, I am going to embargo Walmart for a while. I can handle 30 days of saying, we don't like the way you treat your people. Or safety. Safety is a big one. We don't want Dave involved. Dave, leave the room because he's going to fucking nerd out on us. And he might start touching.
Everyone's
himself.
against safety until they get hurt.
No,
they're like,
I'm
safety, where are you?
I'm for safety. I'm just against safety, guys. Anyways, no, I dig safety, guys. and I dig Dave-ish. No, but seriously, if they were doing like Purple over this last month,
Right.
Purple's had a couple of incidents that shows me, and what it's done inside of me is until I see Purple implement some means to ensure their employees are safe, I will not buy a Purple mattress, nor will I tell people that Purple mattresses should be bought.
Well, would you buy the Purple mattress if they up the price because they want to make it more safe?
Honestly,
'Cause
if
safety costs money.
it
Cost
does,
money.
it does cost money. I work for a plant who is, very safety oriented.
I'm gonna try the middle one.
You're gonna try the middle bear.
Yeah, what is it?
It is a Scottish import with coffee in it.
It's dark and creamy.
Man, I'm getting so much head. Not in real life. Let's come over here.
Beer head, not good head.
So that's a darker
Oh
beer.
my god, I feel like I need to wear a quick kill.
Yeah, so it's a Scottish import. It just means it's darker roasted grains. Yeah, go ahead. It's the second door on your left. But anyway, so
All right, so all three of us have broken the seal.
yes.
I thought
but,
it was like a whimper.
thanks for
or something.
joining us, everyone. This is the first time we actually gained. Maybe it was the argument. People like the argument. Now that we're getting along, everyone's leaving. And Jeremy, thank you for your service. And thank Dave for his service. Dave's Air Force, Jeremy's Navy. All around. I do hope that we can avoid any oncoming political strife that we've got coming on.
And thank you to the taxpayer, because without you, we don't have paychecks. And, service just isn't the same without a paycheck.
God, you're a dickhead. Anyways, yeah. And Jeremy says, thank you, Dave. So Jeremy's retired Navy. We got a retired Marine. And man, if I'd have known you were in the Corps, I'd have brought some crayons.
Hey, nobody dropped anything in my drink while I was gone, did they?
The video camera's in the other room. It's hidden well.
So that reminds me of a Navy story, actually. So we had this guy. His name was Doug. He was in the Navy. Then he joined the Air Force, but we were all deployed. And we all
could go from the Navy to the Air Force?
Well, the Air National Guard.
Oh, all right.
But we all sat naked on his bed because it annoyed him when people sat in his area. So we sat naked
All
on
at
his
once,
bed.
you guys sat
Yeah,
naked?
all at once. And we took a picture of it so you could just see our butts. And we wrapped it. And that was his white elephant Christmas present. So one day we're around the coffee pot in Oman as we're all deployed in 2001. And he starts laughing and he's like, oh, you drank the coffee. I'm like, yeah, no kidding. We drank the coffee. What else would we do with it? He says, I rimmed it. I don't know what that. As an Air Force person, I'm civilized.
Of course you don't. You guys are like, Jesus.
So he thought that was funny. I thought it was gross, but I guess that's the cross culture between Navy and Air Force, right?
God, he rimmed your fucking coffee.
It didn't stop me from drinking it, but it's hard to get good coffee back in those days.
It's like extra little bit of tea bag to your freaking spice. Yeah.
So yeah, that's the Navy.
Oh, man.
That's what I know about the Navy. Anyway.
I've got a couple of good Navy jokes, but first let me tell a communist joke. So a Polish guy's out working on his farm, and he notices something shiny in the fresh plow mark. So he picks it up and he's trying to clean it off, and poof, out pops a genie. And the genie says, "I'm here to grant you 3 wishes." And the Polish guy's like, "Man, I don't know what to wish for." And the genie's like, "God dang it, these guys always take forever. I just want to get this done, go back in my lamp, and be done with it." And and the genie's like, "Take your time. I've got an eternity." And the Polish guy says, "I think I know what I want. I want you to have China attack Poland." And the genie's like, "What?" And so, yeah, I want you to have China attack Poland. So, bombs are going off. China is just, airborne and bombs and rocketing Poland. And when it's all said and done, the Polish guy comes out of his little hidey hole. He's got dust all over him, a couple of shrapnel wounds, no big deal. And the genie says, man, you got 2 more wishes. What do you want? He says, I kind of want you to have China attack Poland again. And so, boom, bombs are going off and everything else. And, the dust clears and the Polish guy comes out and the genie says, Jesus, all right. What do you want for your final wish? And he says, well, it's tough. I can't make up my mind. So let's have China attack Poland again. And bombs are going off and it, destroys Poland. And when it's all said and done, the genie says, why the hell do you hate Poland? He says, no, I love Poland. Then why would you have China attack Poland? He says, because they had to attack Russia first. It's a bad joke. But anyways, Navy joke. No, I'm not going to tell the Navy joke because Jeremy's been nice. We'll save that for next week. Remind me, guys. Anyways, everyone, thanks for joining. I know it got contentious and
no, Jared got contentious.
Yeah, Jared gets passionate about things.
I know, right?
I would like us to start as a nation looking at not the individuals that are doing things, but looking at the individual policies. Who's putting what out? Trump put out some good policies. Obama put out some good policies, but both sides seem to argue against the man and not the policy. And I think that's a travesty. Because Obama made it legal for me to carry concealed on federal land.
Trump in his webpage during his campaign promised that I would be able to carry on my base. Yeah. No, that never happened. That was a promise never made. I thought, boy, that would be great if we didn't have to worry about getting shot up by crazy people while we're working for the federal government because we can, carry. No.
So what do you mean, Jeremy? Most Navy jokes were made from other branches losing to pussy Navy guys? Oh, I read that. Sorry, dyslexic. Losing pussy to the Navy guys. You might be correct because I mean, from all the gay guys, I've heard they love those dress whites.
I heard you have to try it at least once to make sure you don't like it from a Navy guy. That wasn't a very good argument.
And I'm taking the fifth. I've been married all.
I've been married twice.
No, I've been married.
I'm successful at marriage.
Time.
I did it twice.
Yeah.
And neither of them lasted more than 3 years.
Run away.
Yes. Jeremy, no, it's outstanding what you did. All you guys, look, I respect the guys in the service. I think real soon we need to bring someone on who can talk to us about what is specifically coming down on this political cleansing in the service. What I'm worried about in the 80s when you had the right-wing terrorist attacks going on down south from Elohim City and what have you, and Oklahoma City bombing, that was preempted by something. Something drove them to that. And right now, our federal agencies are acting like our federal agencies did under Bush 1. And it's scaring the shit out of me that we're going to start having right-wing terrorists. Because left-wing terrorists, no offense, they're inept. But right-wing terrorists are scary and efficient.
It's a good point.
They are. I mean, Oklahoma City bombing was very efficient, carried out by an inept guy, but it was very efficient. I mean, if anyone wants to take a look at Elohim City and what they were doing. Look at all of the sheriffs and highway patrolmen down in Louisiana, Alabama, Arkansas, all those places that were murdered, all the bank robberies. And that was preempted by a federal government saying we're going to come down on Christian groups. And it made the Christian groups militant.
Yeah, and I don't think the government should put child development centers in IRS buildings just in case something happens in the
It
future.
was more than an IRS building. It was an everything building.
It's interesting that I just got the map from the Southern Poverty Center. You probably don't get their mailings, but they show
What, I don't get the mailings from the people in just the last 5 years has been sued wrong more than they've been.
They got a map of all the terrorist organizations in the United States, and probably about 50% are white nationalists that they're tracking.
Well, yeah, everyone's going after white national. Everyone's going after, and I mean, they called the Proud Boys white nationalists.
Now, I know there's a reason why
We're
started.
probably on it by now.
Why are they called a white nationalist?
Have you heard what that guy said? The one that started them. I mean, first of all,
What did he say?
The word Western chauvinist, is that what they're
Western chauvinist?
He's a comedian. It started as a joke.
Yeah, but a lot of the stuff.
But what
said
did he say that made him white nationalists?
I don't have his sayings in front of me, but I have read.
Did he say that we should evict anyone who's not white?
He said something about busting heads. Yeah, there's a reason he doesn't come out much anymore.
No, he actually. I'll tell you why he quit the Proud Boys thing is because those guys that were on trial in New York, because of him being in charge of it, they stood to get harsher penalties. Now I want to tell you about our justice system. The Antifa got nothing. You know what those Proud Boys in New York got? 4 years for a fist fight.
I'll look at it just to.
Okay, go ahead.
If they initiated it, they deserve it.
They didn't. It was the Antifa that initiated. You know why they got busted? Because when the cops showed up, the Proud Boys said, "Okay, sorry, sir." Antifa ran.
Mm-hmm.
So Antifa was smarter. Guerrilla tactics. I mean, Mao talked about that. Mao wrote a pretty good book on that. It has red cover and everything.
Have you? Yeah.
Well, either way, don't initiate violence and don't use drugs. That's my advice to the audience today.
No, what about those young Marines that Antifa assaulted coming out of the celebration for the Marine Corps birthday 2 years ago? Maybe that might touch you in the heart.
Well, it might if it. I mean,
they were coming out, and you know what? They were in their dress blues, and Antifa came up to them. Now, Proud Boys, they didn't know what Proud Boys were.
When I searched,
and this was in New York City.
When I searched November 10th, 2019,
maybe 2018.
Okay, I'll look at it.
But two Marines were hospitalized by Antifa.
Okay, I mean,
Antifa came up to them and said, "Are you guys Proud Boys?"
Are you?
Now, these Marines didn't know what a Proud Boy was at the time, but they were fucking Marines in their dress blues with their fucking ribbons on. And they said, "Yeah, we're proud." So Antifa beat them.
I'm going to look at the story, Jared. I can't just take it.
Okay.
But see, we can point extremes on each side and try to make.
I'm just
what
saying,
do you think about it? Of course, Greg thinks that's wrong.
Dave,
anytime.
I think the issue is Greg has been following. Greg hasn't looked with a clear eye, with a non-observant eye on the Democrat Party. Dude, Steel's been broken, dude. You're just leaking all over. At the Democrat Party, at the Democrat Party allowing.
How did the Democrat Party allow that?
Well, once did they ever come out and say Antifa needs to stop their dog shit?
They've said it all the time.
When?
My gosh, during the riots, when did they didn't say it? Who? Did Joe Biden?
No, I want to know when they said it.
Did Joe Biden get an Antifa tattoo and say, "Hey, I'm Antifa"?
No, they ignored that it was going on. They never came out and admitted to it. They never came out and
maybe
said, "Look,
because we don't
Antifa,
believe really Antifa's doing it. Maybe we think it's the citizenry. Maybe we think the people protesting at Portland really is people from Portland. I mean, it's good that Fox News and everybody else says, "Hey, Antifa got," but you know, when we did this Black Lives Matter, oh my gosh, what a joke that the so-called patriots who came down to protect the statues
kind of looked like bikers came down.
Well, it was, yeah.
That was probably maybe even older than you era vets.
Well, it
came to, and why would they possibly protect that? Has statue been torn down? And do you think maybe those vets didn't want that?
So
statue?
People were from Tooele. Now wait, I'm a vet. Do you think I tear down statues?
No,
Okay, so wait, but I have a right
But
to
has-
protest.
has-
I have a right to protest?
of course.
Okay,
But why do you argue like they stopped you from protesting?
because so we go down there and there's all the bikers carrying
Mhm.
pieces, protecting their statues.
Okay.
Now we're a local group.
Uh-huh.
And they're on video saying, okay, watch out for the buses at Antifa. They're coming in. And it's like, where did this idea come from?
Because
Because
buses have been
what it
caught
was-
with Antifa members.
What
in
it was because there was a black female who was organizing it.
Yeah, I've talked to her.
Yeah.
Nice lady.
Nice lady.
She
nice-
wouldn't come on the show. She says we're the Shark Tank.
Well, which one? Are you Barbara or?
No, no. I'm not calling names out on the show,
Okay,
but I've talked to her. Went and had after she said she would come on the show, and then she
But-
canceled, and so
This is the overreaction is they come up there and they're saying, hey, they're here to guard the statues. Now I have a right to I have a right to that. I'm
That's
not going
right.
to damage to even imply I would damage a statue is insulting. And it's like, yeah, we're vet. Hey, I'm a vet.
you wouldn't. But there
But-
has been buses caught with
Where-
members from
but-
out of state, not just out of state,
the
but out
mayor
of region.
of Tooele was in a bunker, is what we hear, and they brought in outside police to monitor the parade route.
Do we have a bunker in Tooele?
I don't know. That's what I've heard.
And did you
but-
see? Did you witness outside
So would
police?
you agree? Yeah, we did.
Okay.
We did.
Now, do you think that maybe in lieu of Minnesota being started on fire,
Tooele, Utah was going to get a riot.
okay, do you believe maybe in lieu of Chaz, Chop, Chode, I call it Chode. We can call it Grundle if you like. You know what the
But-
Grundle is?
Uh-uh.
That's that little part between your balls and asshole. We could call
I
it
haven't seen that for a long time.
Grundle if you
I've
like.
never heard it called grundle.
Me neither.
But we could call
Some
it whatever you
other
want.
word,
Taint.
Okay.
You know, we could call it
But-
whatever you want. But do you think that maybe with that possibly showing up, that maybe you wouldn't want your town to take steps to
Have freedom
mitigate
of speech.
Did they stop you from speaking?
They were going to try.
No, they weren't.
Oh yes,
They
there
was
There was
there.
one crazy girl with a rebel flag
So
who kind of like went in between the area.
But wasn't that
But the
her
fact
freedom of
that was
speech
Vanya.
also?
well, the fact is when we
Was that not her
approached them-
freedom of speech
It
also?
is, but it's the confrontation. But it's the implication that you're marching for something we don't agree to. We're patriots. We're guarding. I'm a patriot. This is what it kills me.
So there's the Proud Boys go up to march, and Antifa shows up and picks a fight, throwing IEDs at them.
I like this. That they're saying that, and then we find out Proud Boys were the one arrested. I mean, he's
No, that was in New York. I'm
Yeah.
talking in Portland.
yeah.
No, and it was even reported on
Okay.
CNN that
But there
the-
is going to be
so
both
but
sides.
it's okay for you.
but no,
It's okay for you for them to shut down
What
the
I'm
speech
saying-
of Patriot Prayer.
What's
but
patriot
it-
prayer?
Patriot Prayer was why the Proud Boys were in Portland the first time.
Oh, come on. Those two guys haven't said a prayer. The only time people want to say a prayer is when there's a gosh damn mic in front of them.
Patriot Prayer. Was,
I mean,
it was a
that's,
bunch of old
I
people
get
waving the
tired of
flag.
Patriot
prayer.
Prayer was a different group.
Everybody wants to prayer when there's a camera in front. But, them guys haven't gone to church. And so
I
don't give me
would-
this patriot prayer.
That doesn't violate the non-aggression principle, though.
But
But throwing objects at a crowd does.
it does from
Yeah.
both sides.
Yes.
Okay.
Unless one side initiates it, then the other side is
It's
in,
like, oh
you know,
gosh,
it's-
let's
it
have
is what
prayer.
it
Let's
is.
have prayer in school. Nobody says you can't pray, but you don't have to do it.
Right, but
So-
Antifa was attacking these guys for doing what they do.
So Proud Boys went up to
So-
Portland
Can you
first.
please
to
give me just
support.
one name of somebody that belongs to Antifa so I can look at it? Because I mean, there's a group. I just want to know who you guys are talking about.
They wear black masks.
Okay, so
Antifa.
I mean, no, there's nobody off the top of your head that you guys.
Well, I
At
don't want
least
to.
I mean,
I
it's-
can't say John Sullivan because
I mean,
he's not even a member
obviously,
anymore.
they got a bus line. They
Oh,
got a
here we
Greyhound.
go. At least 2 known Antifa members were spotted amongst the throngs of pro-Trump protesters. At the
2 out of what?
Capitol.
3,000.
No, they said at least 2.
Okay.
A law enforcement source told the Post Antifa members disguised themselves with pro-Trump. Now, we do know that John Sullivan, and I don't want to impugn John Sullivan because I don't even know if John Sullivan is Antifa. I don't know. And Antifa might be a loose coalition. Mostly they're
Okay,
they're
maybe.
neo-communists.
They're not like really well
What?
organized as an
Well,
international
obviously, everybody thinks they got a bus line because they bust everywhere.
I don't know. There's a lot of
group. That is the weird thing, though.
There is a lot of pictures. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, these guys.
Or is it just the media word that gets everybody riled up?
Yeah, I'm sure the media dressed up like this. That's a lot of people.
Well, is that all Antifa? Or is that protesters?
I don't understand why when you protest you would dress like that.
Well, probably because you want to hide your face from law enforcement.
For a protest?
Well, the way I've seen a lot of these protesters treated, I could see why somebody would hide their face.
See, now this one here,
I bet you the guy
that looks like a legitimate protest. They're linking arms gently.
Is that a swat? Oh no, it's an anti-swastika sticker. Okay.
So
What's an anti?
got a line
it's got a line through. Okay, I was like, is it a backwards swastika? Is it sideways?
I bet you the old boys in South Carolina, North Carolina, wish they covered their faces because they're in that.
You know, it's funny. They all use the communist. Oh, here we go. All right. These are arrested Antifa members. Huh. They act in cells like terrorist organizations.
And it's probably like a fun night out on.
You know,
weekend,
and it's funny. The CIA trained Al Qaeda how to operate in. Man, they're armed there. I mean, right there we've got a. This is an AK.
Wait,
This is H&K. That is AR.
so they're not all
That right
armed
there is
equally.
an SKS. You know, it's funny. It's funny, man. All this training, I can recognize guns from miles away. It is hilarious.
That guy's got more than 7 rounds in his clip, I think.
That is a 30-round magazine. That is a 40-round magazine from an H&K.
So the black guy is more armed than all the white people. So, you know,
Well,
the
and that's
equality
also 308 caliber. So that's the best caliber, second best caliber.
Uh-huh.
And these are 5.56. That's the same caliber as that one right there. That's the same caliber as that one right there. We don't know what Ginger here has. I wonder what Ginger's packing. You know, there's a study done, not to impugn anyone on the left, but they did a study on mental illness, and the far left females seem to have the most mental illness out of every group. And after Trump got elected, they showed it by screaming in the streets and throwing themselves at stuff. Remember when Trump got elected and they started that limo on fire?
So what you're saying is far right females don't have mental issues either? I mean,
I've never married one. I can't tell you. I've married a couple of the others. But anyways, remember when they started that limo on fire after Trump got elected?
I don't.
neither do I.
All I remember is the massive crowd he had there.
But when he got elected?
Yeah, when
I was actually there. I was there. Okay.
At the inauguration?
Yes, I was. So the president of Liberland wanted to attend the inauguration of Trump, and I got him as many tickets for his political cabinet as possible. And we all went. And I'll be honest, it was a big crowd. When the media showed the crowd, it was.
I can't show this. It's Fox News. Sorry.
It didn't justify what was
Okay.
really going on.
Washington
So it didn't match.
Examiner. This is a little better.
I mean,
Limo torch in DC protests. Pardon me
what's
for a
that?
second.
that's a,
Yeah, I don't know. That's a lady stretching. Limo damaged in DC protest belongs to a Muslim immigrant. They cost
70,000 in damage, huh?
in damages. And there's a picture of it.
Now, are we
Antifa has
sharing
been
this?
around since Obama. See, the kind of the birth of it was during Occupy Wall Street. You know, let me tell you we're going to walk down conspiracy theory land now, boys and girls. So Occupy Wall Street and the Tea Party are going on at the same time. You know, they started talking. They started getting along. Because they both kind of had the same enemy. Like, these fucking banks are screwing us, right?
yeah. Oh,
Do you know that that's about the same time that this racial strife started back up? Do you remember the 90s when it, I mean, who was the most popular guy in the 90s?
Clinton?
Early 2000s. Most popular man. Will Smith, right?
No.
Oh, fuck, easy. Remember Men in
Fresh
Black?
Prince?
Men in Black, Wild Wild West, right? Remember that? My son used to run around. That was his hero.
Are you serious? So I used to do Taekwondo back then, and the instructor was friends with him. So he'd call the dojo, and then you're talking to the girls or something, and all of a sudden they all just run away from you, and they're
Jesus,
going to the
I'll
telephone.
bet.
Oh, let me talk to Will Smith.
Oh God, I'll bet
It's like,
that was
screw
ridiculous.
that guy.
He was the stud, right?
Yeah,
You remember
I guess
that?
he was.
You remember that?
I
But
don't
it
know.
seemed like after Occupy Wall Street, this racial division happened again. Do you think that maybe they looked out across us plebs, us peasants, standing up there with their frilled fucking collars and said, "We have a problem. What are we going to do about this problem? How do we separate these plebs so they have something else to argue about besides us?" Because Occupy Wall Street was your side, and the Tea Party was Dave's.
Because Jared's innocent. He doesn't have a
I
side.
know.
Right? Jared's dead.
He has no
innocent.
boundaries. He's
Dude. Come before me, my children. Anyways, but no, I want you to think about that. That's about the time they appeared. Now, this isn't my conspiracy theory. I've heard it elsewhere. But this is an interesting thought that maybe, just maybe, this was injected into the colleges, injected into the media, controlled organizations to make sure that we didn't rise up to gain our freedom. Do you think maybe?
I don't. I think the problem's been there.
Do you?
I think it's the black stain on the country. We're trying to come out of it.
What's the black stain?
Is our racial inequality.
Why don't
Oh,
other
hold on,
countries
hold on.
suffer from this? Like the
Hold on.
Arabs used to actually
Tell me.
turn them into eunuchs, and only 1 in 3 would survive.
Man,
the
your
surgery-
wife is messaging me. You're in trouble.
Oh shoot!
Oh, mine, his?
Yeah.
Well, anyway, it seems like only America seems to be suffering for the slavery of the past.
Even
with
though the
Africans.
Muslims still have it going on, maybe they've got to end it before they can suffer from it.
Well,
No, but here's the question. So the black stain, what's the answer?
the answer would be
Are you talking the most recent black stain, which might be the 94 crime bill, or are you talking red?
no. That's not the most recent. I
But
mean,
no. I
it
mean,
might
is
I mean-
there? I'm talking. Okay, you can point to one guy that was killed. Let's say George Floyd.
there's more than one. Let's agree.
But
There's more
there
than
are
one.
also.
I
There's,
mean, when
hold on.
police have to be held to a higher standard. You agree to that?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I think it's 19 versus 29 are the numbers of blacks versus whites unarmed that were killed
But let's
by police last year.
agree.
Okay,
If it's anybody, it's wrong.
okay. Let me explain this. The Democrats run those neighborhoods. The Democrats who are big on taxing and big on getting you on the dole, getting you on their teat. The
So
Democrats are not big on you forming your own life and gaining your independence from them.
now, how's that? Why do you say the Democrats?
Well,
Is it an easy word or is it real?
it's real. It's historic.
Louisiana?
Louisiana state or Louisiana?
I mean,
large
it's
city?
it's.
How about we look at
See, now here we go.
Louisiana?
If it happened anywhere,
Actually, Louisiana,
if it happened,
I believe, is Democrat state also.
I mean, the only reason this has come out over the last couple of years is because of body cams.
now we could look.
I mean,
but yeah, but you know what? They only cause a fuss when it's a black guy. What about the white guy in Texas who had the exact same thing happen? What, 8 months before? The exact same thing. Have you ever heard about it? We could look up his name if you want. But the exact same thing, except he was knelt on, which was in the training manual of the police.
so you're justifying it because of black guy.
I'm not
One for
justifying
one.
it. Did I justify it?
Well,
But no. But should it not be reflected on equally?
Let me tell you, Jerry.
Should it not fucking be reflected
if
equally?
it's up to you, if you feel white guys are being knelt on and that they're being prejudiced against, then I say it's up to you to get in the street. You know what? I feel that black men have been treated in. That's why I was in the street. So if you feel that bad,
you know what part of my activism is spending about I don't know what, probably about $2,500 to do this.
And that's your right.
And this is my activism because one, I reach more, and two, I get to sit in here and pontificate my crazy ideas.
You're right, and there's nothing wrong with that.
So my activism is pretty expensive.
Which allows you to do it.
What's that? Bring on this.
There you go.
All right. Mom won't buy them car. Mom was just happy kids left the basement. Oh shit. He's talking about Antifa. Hey, but remember that one, the one guy, he got outed because he lived with his grandma. Dude, there's some people have been studying Antifa. There's some colleges. Hamburg, I think it was Hamburg, did a study on Antifa members in Europe, and this is worldwide. They call them
the Black Bloc.
The Black Bloc. Well, the Black Bloc comes from the communists in Weimar Germany, which you can blame for Hitler, partly blame for Hitler. Anyways, one kid, they did a study that Antifa, it was something crazy, like 89% live with mommy and daddy. Now, the sad part is that is a reflection on our economy. We don't have an economy, which I believe, in my humble opinion, circles back to the mass shootings. Our economy has a disease right now. The boomers, or I shouldn't just blame it on the boomers. My dad's a boomer. Maybe I can blame it on him. I'll yell at him maybe tomorrow or
I'm a
Sunday.
boomer.
I've yelled at you all night. But there is no avenue towards individual success left that is really achievable. It seems like that maybe there is, and it just feels like it's out of reach.
It's only $500,000 to buy a house in Tooele, Jared.
Yeah, no lie. I mean, that's
it.
That's it.
Come on.
Crazy. Do you think some of that's because people from the great Republican state of California are running away and moving out here and driving our houses prices up? But why would they leave California? California is on earth paradise.
I love California.
On earth, California is paradise. And I don't want to dissuade Californians from leaving.
The environment is paradise.
Because once you sons of bitches leave, I'm taking over. We're going to make we're going to all move there. Capistan over there in California. I'm going to be surfing with a fucking scar across my chest. I'm going to be doing it in boxers with little hearts on it.
Scar.
Scar. S-C-A-R.
Scar? Okay. Whatever floats your boat. I mean,
Scar is a modernized Armalite rifle system.
Oh, all
it's
right.
actually made by I think it was designed by Fabrique Nationale, which was my last M16. To throw back to a story, my last M16 in the Army was a Fabrique Nationale. It was my favorite one.
Boating accident, right?
No, this was in the Army. It belonged to Uncle Sam, so they got to keep it all the time. You know, nothing bad ever happened. I'm sure the military has never, ever committed crimes by funneling guns to anywhere else. How about those Marines caught 2 years ago smuggling people in?
Capitalism
I
for the
have
win.
a great uncle who used to smuggle Chinamen in through Canada, and he got into a car accident one time and just like bailed on him. But he was also a World War II vet who stormed Normandy, so he was kind of,
Dude, so Jeremy, are you in California right now? I have prime property, boys. I've been waiting for these rats to leave. Oh, shit. Laying it on thick. Now, Jeremy, me and Jeremy went to high school together. Good friends when we were little kids.
Are you from here?
I'm from here. Jeremy's from here. Oh, yeah. Yeah, my old man, you probably know him. We'll talk about him later. It's all good. He was, Anyways, I mean, you and him may not have swam in the same circles, but you both played in government, so just different sizes.
My wife's still texting you.
Yes, dude, you are so in trouble.
Will you
tonight.
tell her I'm married?
we
I
need
know she's not used to seeing a real.
The real man.
The real man, yeah.
Would you tell the real man there on the dude? You think he is conservative?
The Brazilian?
Oh fuck, she will.
Well, she lived through communism, so
That is correct.
she came out.
I mean, your party might fight for it, but she knows what it is. She smelt that shit.
they even the banks one day they just like wake up and they're like, oh, we took all your money out of the bank. The government.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy? You can't do that with a Bitcoin wallet.
You know
but you
what?
can do that with
You know
fiat
what
currency.
Stalin was before he became. Well, okay, Stalin was a bank robber for the Bolsheviks. He didn't like the Mensheviks, which is why the Mensheviks. You guys know, I'm going deep in. You know what a Menshevik is?
It's probably someone in Russia.
Bolsheviks is majority party. Menshevik is minority party, but all communists. Trotsky was a Menshevik.
The one with the pickaxe?
Well, it was an ice. It was an ice pick. That's how he was killed. All right, what do we got?
That's why they have
Yeah,
an ice pick on there, is because that's how he was killed.
Yeah, he was killed by the Bolsheviks. He was killed by Stalin's assassins
I thought it had something to do
in
with the
Mexico
workers.
City. No. Now the they've got the scythe and the hammer is the
Okay, that's the
signs of
symbol.
communism.
Yes,
Yeah. Anyway, so we've got to be rounding this up to the end.
it is 7:30.
What do you guys think about us offering Greg to come on full time? Hopefully he takes it. He's about the only lefty we can have come on. And
He's
I like
married.
it.
His wife might not let him, so I know how that works.
You might be replaced by your wife. She might be like, you're no longer allowed to play. God, it's 7:30 and your wife's like, you send him home now.
It's past dinner.
Jeez. Why doesn't she just reach in her purse and squeeze him?
Squeeze what?
Your balls, man.
Yeah, I don't
She
have
just
any
has
of
to.
those.
She should just reach down in your purse and give him a squeeze. You would feel it telepathically and be like, I got to go home. Tail tucked between the legs. Just
squishy
a
balls.
scurry.
It's like a voodoo.
What was the word? Garrett? What's that word?
What's that?
What's that word?
Oh, the grundle.
The grundle.
The grundle. Tickle the grundle.
All right.
I enjoy having. See, Jeremy enjoys. See, Greg, we really want to offer you to become a permanent
All right, we'll see.
member. 5:00 on Fridays.
5 o'clock on Fridays?
Yeah, you free?
Yeah, pretty much.
We need an objective voice. We need our Juan
Yeah.
Juan Williams.
You know, it's been fun. I agree. We need to talk, man. We need to get everybody talking.
we
It
do.
is.
And maybe us together will start it. Well, you two together will start a third party. And I'll be anarchist against you guys
he
too.
refuses to do any party, don't he?
He just likes to
I
complain.
don't know. Maybe I'm just I don't know.
You build it, he'll complain about it. That's the
you know,
deal.
I will bitch about just
Well,
about
no.
anything.
You know, that's I've always said your right not to vote is as strong as your right to vote.
That's
If-
right.
if
Remember
your
when Obama
parties,
tried
yeah.
making voting mandatory?
Right. I mean, if my party
What
doesn't
would they have
motivate you
said?
to vote,
What would they
You
have said
should
if
vote.
I would have went into that booth and jerked off on that ballot?
is vote for Trump.
Trump wasn't running. Trump wasn't running then. This was in Obama's first
He
term.
turns me on too. Greg.
This was I love that smooth ebony skin. Yeah, this was in Obama's first term in the mid elections. But he was talking about making it mandatory, and he was arguing Australia does it, and I'm
Brazil
like, oh
does
yeah, let's follow them. Them sons of bitches are upside down. In Brazil, they're upside down too.
No, it's not. It
course,
shouldn't be.
Brazil has the hottest women. But anyways, yeah, we want to extend that to Greg. You guys, if you guys agree, look, Jeremy likes it. Jeremy likes having a fellow squiddy on the show.
Yeah.
And Jeremy, yes, when you are in town, we want you to come on, even if you're just going to tell us funny squiddy stories like when you hung out in the box, because Tuesday was your day to hang out in the box. That's an inside joke. I'll tell it later. But anyways, whatever. I don't know if you've heard that joke or lived that story, your lived truth. Remember. But we want you to come in. Definitely. And Jeremy, you need to get back into town because you got to try some of my beer. We got to drink together, hang out. It has been honestly probably 25 years since I've hung out with Jeremy, and when we were kids,
Wow.
we hung out every day. Jeremy just retired from the Navy. Thank you, sir. Hoorah. Or what does the Navy say? What? Whatever. The
Yahoo.
Marines say rah.
Hoorah.
The Air Force says, that's not my fancy
That's
calculator.
We say Yahoo.
The Army says hua. I don't know. It is what it is. I think if you served, even if you served in the Coast Guard or Merchant Marines, whatever. I think the Merchant Marines have it the worst.
Crap, if you have a job,
my grandfather
thank
was
you.
Merchant Marine.
You know why they have it the worst? They don't have an armor giving them fucking weapons. Dude, there ain't nothing that makes you harder than God, the M60 in the morning. I love that smell.
You love the smell.
The
huh?
cordite blown across.
So we get internet and coffee in the Air Force.
Oh,
that
geez.
works for me.
I know. Got a rough life. Yeah. What's a GP medium? Anyways,
As long as it has air conditioning.
thanks for joining us, everyone. But we are extending this to Greg. We'll give him 30 minutes to think about it.
All right.
Get back to us. He's got to, of course, talk to his wife. And all right, July, Jeremy, we expect you on July. I also want you on my other show. Remember, this is a network. We have 2 shows on here. We have the Wild Pod and we have the Happy Hour. If you like, ghosts and Bigfoot and spirituality and stuff, aliens, check out the Wild Pod. I have fun doing it. Love doing it. And if you like political, and I tell them on that show if they like political, come check out the Happy Hour. That's where it's at.
Subscribe, and thumbs up, or whatever is going on.
If you
on
can
that
get to
social
iTunes,
network.
get to iTunes, give us a rating, a review. If you're on YouTube, leave a comment on there, whatever. It, as they say in the modern day nomenclature, feeds the algorithm. It drives up the numbers. And, there's a reason I don't delete when people come on there and say, come watch my website, because that's a comment I need. But anyways, thanks for joining us, Greg.
Yeah,
thanks.
Seriously, and I know it got contentious, but
Oh no,
here's the thing I think we need to get across. We need to stop looking at the other side as if they're doing stuff against us. Everyone has now politicians, they're all against us. But the other side, like you and me, you and Dave,
okay.
you guys are on the opposite side. You guys have different beliefs, but I don't think you wish any ill will on Dave. And I know Dave doesn't wish ill will on you.
Oh no, there's none.
Yeah.
I really believe we are Americans.
You
We
are looking for a solution.
Yeah.
And Dave's looking for a solution.
I'm looking for a better tomorrow.
And me, I just don't want the government to be involved in that solution, because the government only does one thing well.
Yeah.
What's that, Jared? What does the government do well? Tell us.
Turn gold into shit. The government fucks up everything.
At least
But
they
thanks
don't
for
turn
joining us,
Bitcoins into
everyone.
shit.
We're going to try to get Greg back on, and we'll see you guys.
And I vote for the Scottish Ale. That was good.
You like that?
I
huh?
do like that.
All right. It's too sweet for me. Have a good night, everyone.